Noah Hayes sat in the dark cab of his truck, staring at the eviction notice taped to his apartment door. 48 hours. That's all he had left before his daughter lost the only home she'd ever known. 24 hours ago, he'd been fired for refusing to falsify a safety report. 12 hours ago, his landlord had called the police when he tried to negotiate. And 6 hours ago, he'd helped a stranded stranger on a rain-soaked highway, never knowing that single act of decency would drag him into a conspiracy that could either destroy him completely or give him one impossible shot at redemption. Before we dive in, if this story grabs you, drop a comment with your city below. I want to see how far these words travel. Hit that like button, and let's see this through together. The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days. Noah Hayes guided his 15-year-old pickup truck through the flooded streets of Portland, Oregon, his windshield wipers fighting a losing battle against the downpour. In the passenger seat, his daughter Mia slept with her head against the window, her second-grade homework crumpled beneath her cheek. She was 7 years old and had learned not to complain about sleeping in the truck. That knowledge sat like a stone in Noah's chest. He'd picked her up late from the after-school program again. Mrs. Chen, the director, had pulled him aside with that look, the one that mixed pity with policy. "Mr. Hayes, we close at 6. This is the 4th time this month." "I know, I'm sorry. The job ran over, and we have rules for a reason." She'd handed him a printed notice. "One more late pickup, and we'll have to report it." Report it. Code for calling Child Protective Services. Code for losing Mia. Noah had nodded, apologized again, and gotten Mia out of there before his anger could leak through. It wasn't Mrs. Chen's fault. She was just doing her job. Everyone was just doing their job. And Noah was just failing at his. The construction site had let him go at 4:30. Not fired, technically. "We're scaling back," the foreman had said, not meeting his eyes. "Last hired, first let go. You understand?" Noah understood. He'd been there 6 weeks. He understood that pointing out the structural calculations were wrong on the third-floor framework made him a problem. He understood that the foreman's brother-in-law needed work. He understood that keeping his mouth shut would have kept him employed, but it also would have meant someone could die when that building collapsed. So now he was unemployed. Again. The rent was due in 5 days. He had $463 in his account. Rent was $1,200. Even if he found day labor tomorrow, even if he worked 70 hours next week, the math didn't work. The math never worked. Mia stirred as he turned onto Highway 26, heading toward the monthly rate motel where they'd been living for the past 8 months. Not home. Never home. Just the place where they slept. "Dad?" Her voice was small, sleep-thick. "Yeah, baby? Are we in trouble?" Noah's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "No, why would you think that?" "You have your worried face. I'm just tired. Go back to sleep." She didn't argue. She'd learned not to do that either. 7 years old and already reading his moods, calculating her responses, trying not to be a burden. It made Noah want to put his fist through something. The highway was nearly empty, just scattered taillights disappearing into the rain-blurred darkness. The radio murmured low, some talk show discussing the tech boom reshaping the city. New startups, new money, new opportunities, all happening in a world that might as well be on another planet. That's when he saw the car. It was pulled halfway onto the shoulder, hazard lights blinking weakly through the downpour. A small sedan, hood up, steam rising into the rain. A figure stood beside it, hunched against the weather. Noah's first instinct was to keep driving. "Not your problem. You've got enough problems." But he was already slowing down. "Dad?" Mia was awake again. "Someone needs help." He pulled onto the shoulder 20 feet ahead of the disabled car, hazards on. "Stay here. Lock the doors." "Okay." He grabbed the battered toolbox from behind the seat and stepped into the rain. It hit like a cold slap, instantly soaking through his jacket. He jogged back to the sedan. The figure was a young woman, mid-20s maybe, wearing a business suit that had probably looked professional 6 hours ago. Now it was plastered to her frame, her dark hair hanging in wet ropes. She was on her phone, frustrated. "No signal," she said when she saw him. "Of course there's no signal." "What happened?" She gestured at the engine. "It just stopped. I don't know. It made a noise and then it died." Noah set down his toolbox and peered under the hood. The engine was old, basic. That was good. He pulled out his phone and used the flashlight, checking connections. You always stop for strangers? The woman asked. Not always. He tested the battery cables. Loose. You got jumper cables? I don't know, maybe in the trunk? Check. She disappeared and he kept working. The alternator belt was intact. Spark plugs looked okay. He wiggled the battery terminal, definitely loose. Could be that simple. The woman returned empty-handed, shivering. No cables. I've got some. Noah went back to his truck. Mia was watching through the window, her face pale in the darkness. He gave her a thumbs up and grabbed the cables from the back. 10 minutes later, he had the sedan running. The woman stood under her open driver's door, out of the rain, staring at him like he'd performed magic. How did you... thank you, seriously. She fumbled in her purse. Let me pay you. How much? Nothing. What? It was just a loose connection. Took 5 minutes. He was already coiling the jumper cables. You should get that battery checked. It's old. I can't just... You stopped in the rain. You fixed my car. You have to let me... I don't have to let you anything. The words came out harsher than he meant. He softened his voice. I'm glad I could help. Drive safe. He was back in his truck before she could respond, cables thrown in back, engine starting. Mia was still watching him. Did you fix it? She asked. Yeah. That was nice. Yeah. He pulled back onto the highway. In the rearview mirror, the woman was standing by her car, phone in hand, staring after him. Then she disappeared into the rain. Noah forgot about her before he reached the motel. The Starlight Inn was the kind of place that rented by the week and didn't ask questions. 12 units, peeling paint, a neon sign that only half worked. Noah parked in front of Unit 7 and killed the engine. Can we get food? Mia asked. He checked his wallet. 220s and some ones. Yeah, what do you want? Pizza? Pizza meant $30 minimum with delivery. Fast food would be 10. He should say no. He should get her a Happy Meal and save the difference. Sure, pizza. Her face lit up, and that made it worth it. Made everything worth it. Inside the room, Noah turned on the heater while Mia spread her homework across one of the double beds. The room smelled like mildew and old cigarettes. The TV got 6 channels if you hit it right. The bathroom faucet dripped constantly. But it was dry, and it was warm, and Mia was safe. For now. Noah ordered the pizza and sat on the other bed, pulling out his own phone. Job sites. Craigslist. Indeed, ZipRecruiter. Same listings he'd scrolled yesterday. General labor, warehouse work, delivery driver, all requiring background checks, references, reliable transportation, all paying just enough to keep you desperate. He typed out an application for a night shift warehouse position. Filled in the blanks. Uploaded the same resume he'd used 20 times. Clicked submit. The phone buzzed. Low battery. He plugged it in. Mia was working on multiplication problems, her tongue between her teeth the way she did when she was concentrating. She looked like her mother. Same dark eyes, same stubborn chin. Rachel had been dead for 3 years. A car accident that took her in 30 seconds and took Noah's world with her. They'd been separated when it happened, working through things, trying to figure out if they could make it work. And then she was gone. And none of it mattered except the little girl who'd lost her mother. Noah had been working in Seattle then, decent job with a tech startup. But someone had to take care of Mia, and Rachel's parents were too old, too frail. So he'd quit, moved back to Portland, taken what work he could find, thought he'd get back on his feet in a few months. That was 3 years ago. Dad, what's 7 times 8? 56. Thanks. The pizza arrived. They ate sitting on the beds, watching a sitcom rerun. Mia laughed at the jokes. Noah pretended everything was fine. At 8:30, he ran a bath for her in the stained tub. At 9, she was in bed, her breathing already evening out. Noah sat in the plastic chair by the window and watched the rain. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Is this Noah Hayes? He frowned. Scam, probably. He deleted it. It buzzed again. I'm the woman from the highway. I need to talk to you. It's important. Noah stared at the message. How did she get his number? He hadn't given it to her. He hadn't given her anything. He typed back, how did you get this number? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Your truck has a business magnet. Hayes Mobile Repair. I called the number. Noah looked at Mia, sleeping peacefully, then back at the phone. That magnet was 3 years old from when he tried to make a go of freelance mechanical work. He'd forgotten it was still on the truck. What do you want? To talk? In person. Tomorrow? I'm busy. Please, it's about a job, a real one. Noah almost laughed. Sure. Random woman on the highway offers him a job the same day he gets fired. This was definitely a scam. Or worse. Not interested. $500 just to meet. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. He stopped. Reread the message. $500. This is a scam. It's not. I promise. I know you don't know me. I know this sounds crazy, but I need help. And I think you're the person who can help me. Meet me tomorrow morning. Coffee shop. Public place. If you don't like what I have to say, you walk away with the money anyway. Noah looked at Mia again. $500. That was food for 2 weeks. That was half the rent. That was breathing room he desperately needed. It was also too good to be true. How do you know my name? How do you know anything about me? I looked you up after you left. I needed to know who you were. Why? Because in 30 seconds, you diagnosed a problem 3 mechanics couldn't figure out. Because you stopped in a storm to help a stranger and refused payment. Because I've spent the last 6 months looking for someone I can trust, and I think you might be that person. You don't know me. I know enough. Meet me tomorrow. 9 a.m. Paradox. Coffee on Burnside. If I'm wrong, you're $500 richer, and I'll never bother you again. Noah sat in the dark room, rain drumming on the roof, his daughter breathing softly 6 feet away. Every instinct said this was wrong. Too convenient. Too weird. Too good. But $500. 9 a.m., he typed. 1 hour. Thank you. I'll see you there. He set the phone down and rubbed his face. Probably just wasted his time. Probably wouldn't show. Probably some elaborate setup he couldn't even imagine yet. But maybe, just maybe, it was legitimate. He didn't let himself hope. Hope was dangerous. Hope got you hurt. Noah woke at 6:30, same as always. Mia was still asleep. He showered in the cramped bathroom, shaved with a disposable razor, put on the one button-down shirt he owned that didn't have stains, dark jeans, work boots, best he could do. He woke Mia at 7, got her dressed, made instant oatmeal with the electric kettle. They were out the door by 7:45, and he dropped her at school by 8:10. She kissed his cheek before climbing out. Love you, Dad. Love you too, baby. He watched her run inside, backpack bouncing, and felt the familiar ache. She deserved better. Better than motel rooms and instant oatmeal. Better than a father who couldn't keep a job. Paradox. Coffee was a trendy place in a trendy neighborhood, all exposed brick and reclaimed wood. Noah felt out of place the second he walked through the door. Everyone here looked successful, casual, confident. Laptops open, expensive headphones, craft coffee drinks that cost more than he'd spent on breakfast. The woman from the highway was at a corner table. She'd cleaned up well. Tailored black pants, cream blouse, hair pulled back. She looked professional, wealthy, like someone who belonged here. She stood when she saw him, extended her hand. Noah Hayes, thank you for coming. He shook her hand, firm grip. You gonna tell me what this is about? Sit, please. Can I get you coffee? I'm fine. You sure? Their pour-over is excellent. I said I'm fine. She nodded, sat back down. Noah took the chair across from her, back to the wall, exit visible. Old habits. I'm Lily Arden, she said. I work for a company called Helix Dynamics. We're a tech startup focused on adaptive infrastructure systems. Does that mean anything to you? No? We build software that manages complex networks, power grids, water systems, traffic management. The idea is to create self-optimizing systems that respond to real-time conditions. It's complicated. Okay? We've been in development for 2 years. 6 months ago, we landed a major contract with the city of Portland to overhaul their traffic management system. It's a pilot program. If it works, we expand to other cities. If it works, we're looking at a $100 million valuation. Noah said nothing. This didn't sound like a job offer. This sounded like a pitch. Lily leaned forward. 3 weeks ago, the system started failing. Not crashing, failing. Subtle errors, timing discrepancies, rerouting problems. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to notice. Enough to worry. We've had every engineer in the company looking at it. No one can find the problem. So hire more engineers. We have. Consultants, specialists, people with decades of experience. They can't find it either. Then your system's broken. Start over. We can't. We're 8 weeks from the deadline. If we miss it, we lose the contract. If we lose the contract, we lose our funding. If we lose our funding, the company folds. Noah sat back. Still don't see what this has to do with me. Lily pulled an envelope from her bag and slid it across the table. $500, like I promised. He opened it. 1050s, crisp and new. He folded the envelope and put it in his pocket. Last night, Lily said, you fixed my car in 5 minutes. Something 3 different mechanics told me would require towing, and a full diagnostic. You looked at it, found the problem, fixed it. No hesitation. Battery cable was loose, not exactly rocket science. To you, maybe. To me, it was magic. To the mechanics I called, it was a mystery. She paused. I looked you up. You worked for Cascade Systems 4 years ago. You were a junior engineer on their adaptive network project. Noah's expression didn't change, but something cold slid through his chest. That project failed, Lily continued. The company folded. But I read the post-mortem reports. I read the internal memos. The system didn't fail because of bad design. It failed because of sabotage. Someone deliberately broke it. Ancient history. Is it? Because our system is built on similar architecture, and it's failing the same way. Noah stood up. I don't know what you think I can do for you, but I think you understand how these systems break. I think you've seen this before. And I think you're the only person who might be able to help me figure out what's happening before my company dies. Find someone else. I don't have time, and I don't trust anyone else. You don't know me. I know you stopped in the rain for a stranger. I know you refused money when you clearly need it. I know you see things other people miss. She stood too, meeting his eyes. I'm not asking you to save my company. I'm asking you to look. 1 week. That's all. Just look at the system and tell me what you see. I'm not an engineer anymore. Why not? Because I'm not. That's not an answer. Noah turned to leave. Good luck with your company. $10,000. He stopped. 1 week of your time. You look at the system, you tell me what you find, you walk away with $10,000, whether you solve it or not. All I need is your eyes on this. Noah turned back slowly. 10,000. Yes. For 1 week. Yes. And if I can't find anything, you still get paid. It was too much money. Way too much for what she was asking, which meant there was something else, something she wasn't saying. What's the catch? Lily hesitated. The catch is that if someone really is sabotaging us, and if you figure out who, that person isn't going to be happy about it. The catch is that this might be dangerous. Dangerous how? I don't know. That's the truth. I don't know what we're dealing with, but someone destroyed Cascade Systems, and if they're targeting us too, she trailed off. I just want you to know what you might be walking into. Noah thought about Mia, about the eviction notice, about the $463 in his account that had just become $963. $10,000 was 3 months' rent. $10,000 was stability. $10,000 was a chance. I need to make a call, he said. Of course. He stepped outside into the morning rain, called Mrs. Chen at the after-school program. Mr. Hayes, I need to ask a favor. I might have some work this week, odd hours. If I'm late picking up Mia, not every day, just if something runs over, can you give me some flexibility? Just this week. Silence. Then, what kind of work? Consulting job, tech company. It's legitimate. Mr. Hayes, I want to help you. I do, but we have policies. I know. I'm not asking you to break them. I'm asking for a week, just 1 week. I'll pay the late fees, whatever you need. More silence. He could hear the calculation happening. Single father, trying, barely holding on. 1 week, Mrs. Chen said finally. But if this becomes a pattern, it won't, thank you. He hung up and went back inside. Lily was waiting. Okay, he said. 1 week. but I need half up front. Done. She pulled out her phone. Give me your account information. I don't have... He stopped. Of course she expected direct deposit. Can you do cash? Cash? That's... She saw his face. Sure, yes, I can do cash. I'll have it for you this afternoon. Then we have a deal. They shook hands again. Her grip was still firm, but now Noah could feel the desperation underneath. She needed this, really needed this, which meant he couldn't screw it up. When do I start? He asked. Right now, Lily said, if that's okay. We're in the Pearl District, 20-minute drive. Noah thought about job applications he should be filling out, thought about the eviction notice, thought about $10,000. Let's go, he said. Helix Dynamics occupied the third floor of a converted warehouse building, all glass walls and modern furniture. The space was open plan, maybe 30 employees scattered across desks and collaboration areas. Everyone looked young, energetic, focused, the kind of place where people used words like synergy and disruption without irony. Lily led him through the main floor to a conference room in the back. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Willamette River. The table could seat 20. Right now, it sat 3. Noah Hayes, this is Eric Tan, our CTO, and Simone Bradley, lead systems engineer. Eric was mid-30s, Asian American, wearing an expensive hoodie and designer glasses. He gave Noah a cool nod. Simone was younger, mixed race, her hair in intricate braids, wearing a Helix Dynamics t-shirt. She looked exhausted. Lily told us about you, Eric said. Cascade Systems, right? A long time ago. Not that long, 4 years. Eric leaned back in his chair. You were there when it collapsed. I was junior staff, didn't see much. But you saw something. Noah said nothing. Simone spoke up, her voice sharp with fatigue. Look, no offense, but we've had a dozen consultants in here already. People with PhDs and 20 years experience. What makes you different? Probably nothing, Noah said. I'm just here to look. At what? We've been over every line of code, every system log, every possible failure point. There's nothing there. Then I'll confirm that, and you're out $5,000. Seems like a bargain. Eric almost smiled. I like him. He's honest. I like solutions, Simone said. Can you provide those? Don't know yet, Lily intervened. Show him the system. Walk him through the architecture. Let him see what we're dealing with. Simone sighed but stood up. Fine, come on. She led Noah to a workstation in the corner, triple monitors showing cascading data streams. Noah recognized some of it. Network topology, traffic flow algorithms, optimization patterns. Some of it was new. This is our main dashboard, Simone explained. Real-time monitoring of the entire traffic grid. We've got sensors at every major intersection, adaptive signal timing, predictive flow modeling. The system learns from patterns and adjusts automatically. How often does it adjust? Every 30 seconds. Continuous optimization based on current conditions. And when did the problem start? 3 weeks ago. Tuesday morning, 7:15. Signal timing at the Morrison Bridge started drifting. Just a few seconds at first. We corrected it manually, then it happened again. Then at other intersections. Now it's systemic. Noah leaned closer to the monitors. Show me a failure event. Simone pulled up a log file. Timestamp. Location. Error description. Noah scanned the data. This says the system detected unusual traffic density and adjusted timing accordingly. Right, except there was no unusual density. We checked the camera footage. Normal morning rush. So the sensors are wrong. The sensors are fine. We've tested them independently. They're reporting accurately. Then the system's interpreting the data wrong. That's what we thought. But the interpretation algorithms are functioning correctly. We've run them through every diagnostic we have. Noah scrolled through more logs. Same pattern. System detects phantom congestion, adjusts signals, creates actual problems. Over and over. It's like it's seeing something that isn't there, he said quietly. Exactly. But we can't figure out what. He looked at her. Can I see the source code? Simone hesitated, glanced back at Eric, who was watching from the conference room. That's proprietary, she said. I signed an NDA this morning. Lily had it ready. It's not about the NDA. It's about, look, this is 2 years of work, millions of lines of code. You can't just, I'm not asking to take it home. I'm asking to see the architecture. The core logic, how the system makes decisions. Another hesitation. Then Simone pulled up a different screen, code scrolling past in neat blocks. This is the decision engine. It takes input from sensors, runs it through predictive models, and generates signal timing adjustments. Noah studied the code. It was clean, well-documented, sophisticated, the kind of work that took real talent. Who wrote this? Team effort. Mostly Eric and myself, some contract developers. Names? Why? Just curious. Simone rattled off half a dozen names. Noah didn't recognize any of them. Then she added, and we use some legacy code from an open source project, Adaptive Network Framework, early generation. Noah's attention sharpened. Which project? I'd have to look it up. Some defunct startup from a few years back. The code was solid, so we adapted it. Was the startup called Cascade Systems? Simone blinked. Yeah, how did you... She stopped, looked at him differently. You knew. I suspected. Is that a problem? Noah didn't answer. He was staring at the code, seeing patterns he'd seen before, architecture he'd helped build when he was young and stupid and thought he was changing the world. I need to see the legacy components, he said. Everything you pulled from Cascade. It's just framework code, foundation level stuff. I still need to see it. Simone exchanged another look with Eric, who nodded. She pulled up a different repository, older files, familiar structure. Noah read through it slowly. It was his work, not written by him directly, but built on principles he'd helped establish. Cascade's core philosophy: adaptive systems that learned from chaos rather than tried to prevent it. Let the network find its own equilibrium, beautiful in theory, deadly in practice. This section here, he pointed at a block of code. What does this do? It's the chaos integrator, allows the system to learn from unexpected disruptions and incorporate them into future models. And you're using it? Of course. It's brilliant. It's also broken. Simone stiffened. No, it's not. We've tested it extensively. You've tested it under controlled conditions. But chaos isn't controlled. That's the point. Noah scrolled down. This function here, it's supposed to filter out noise before feeding data to the decision engine. But if the filter criteria are wrong, if they're too narrow or too broad, the system starts treating noise as signal. The filter criteria are mathematically optimized. For what conditions? Standard urban traffic patterns. Defined how? Simone opened her mouth, closed it. Based on historical data and theoretical models. Show me the dataset. She pulled it up. Noah scanned the parameters: population density, vehicle counts, flow rates, temporal patterns. This is 10 years old, he said. It's comprehensive data from multiple cities, from 10 years ago. Before rideshare, before delivery drones, before the pandemic changed commute patterns. He looked at her. You're teaching the system to recognize a world that doesn't exist anymore. Simone stared at the screen. That can't be the whole problem. The system's supposed to adapt to new patterns automatically. It is adapting. That's the problem. It's trying to reconcile what it expects with what it's seeing, and when they don't match, it assumes the sensors are detecting something unusual, so it compensates. Creates adjustments for phantom congestion. But we've updated the models, we've fed it current data. Through the same filter that's telling it what's noise and what's signal. You're teaching a colorblind person about color by showing them different shades of gray. Simone sank into her chair. Jesus, we've been chasing ghosts for 3 weeks. Not ghosts, just the wrong assumptions built into legacy code. Can it be fixed? Noah studied the architecture. Maybe. Depends how deep the filter logic goes. If it's just at the integration layer, yeah. If it's baked into the core learning algorithms, he trailed off. If it's core, then you might need to rebuild from scratch. We don't have time for that. I know. Simone looked at him with something between hope and despair. Can you tell which it is? How deep it goes? I can try. How long will that take? Noah glanced at the code, the architecture diagrams, the sprawling complexity of the system. I don't know. A day. Maybe 2. You've got 4 hours. What? We have a demo with the city tomorrow morning. They want to see proof the system works. If we can't show them stability by tomorrow, they're pulling the contract. She stood up. I'll get you set up with full access, whatever you need. But I need an answer by end of day. Can you fix it or not? Noah looked at the code again, at the elegant broken logic that someone, maybe multiple someones, had spent years building, at the trap built into the foundation that no one had seen until it was too late, just like Cascade. "I'll do my best," he said. "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I've got." Simone held his gaze for a long moment, then nodded. "Good enough? Get to work." She left him alone at the workstation. Noah pulled up a chair and dove into the code. 4 hours. Might as well be 4 minutes. He got started anyway. 3 hours in, Noah's eyes were burning. The code sprawled across the monitors like a city seen from space. Millions of lines, interconnected systems, layers upon layers of logic that had seemed elegant at first, but now felt like a maze designed by someone who wanted people to get lost. He'd traced the filter logic through 7 different modules, each one referencing frameworks that referenced other frameworks. Dependencies tangled like fishing line left in a shed for a decade. His phone buzzed. Text from Mrs. Chen. "Mia asking when you're picking her up. Everything okay?" Noah checked the time. 2:40. School ended at 3. He typed back, "Running late. Can she stay until 5? "That's fine. She's doing homework in the library." "Thanks. I owe you." He set the phone down and rubbed his face. His lower back ached from the cheap chair. The coffee Simone had brought him an hour ago sat cold and untouched. He hadn't eaten since the oatmeal this morning. "Finding anything?" Noah turned. Lily stood behind him, arms crossed, watching the screens like they were written in a language she'd once known but had forgotten. "Yeah," he said. "Problems." "Can you fix them?" "Depends on your definition of fix." She pulled up a chair and sat beside him. Up close, Noah could see the exhaustion etched around her eyes, the way her shoulders carried tension like a physical weight. She'd probably been living with this crisis for weeks, smiling through meetings while her company bled out. "Talk to me like I'm not an engineer," she said. "What did you find?" Noah gestured at the screen. "You know how when you're driving and you see something in your peripheral vision, your brain fills in the details before you actually look? Usually it's right. Sometimes it's wrong, and you swerve to avoid a mailbox you thought was a kid." "Okay." Your system does that. It takes incomplete sensor data and fills in the gaps based on what it expects to see. Most of the time that works, but the expectations are based on old data, traffic patterns from a different era. So when it sees current conditions, it doesn't recognize them as normal. It thinks something's wrong. And it compensates. Exactly. Creates problems trying to solve problems that don't exist. Lily was quiet for a moment. "Can you teach it new patterns?" "That's what I've been trying to figure out. The learning algorithms are buried deep. Changing them means rewriting core functions. That's weeks of work, maybe months, plus testing." "We don't have weeks." "I know. So what do we do?" Noah leaned back, the chair creaking under his weight. "There might be a shortcut. If I can isolate the filter logic and bypass it temporarily, feed raw sensor data directly to the decision engine, the system could learn from actual conditions instead of filtered ones. It's risky. Raw data includes a lot of noise. But it might be enough to stabilize things for your demo." "How risky?" "Could work perfectly. Could crash the whole system. Could create worse problems than what you have now." "Those are terrible odds." "Yeah." Lily looked at the screens, her jaw working. "If we don't do the demo tomorrow, we lose the contract. If we lose the contract, we're finished anyway." She met his eyes. "Do it." "You sure?" "No, but do it anyway." Noah nodded and turned back to the code. Lily stood, then paused. "Noah, why did you really leave Cascade?" He didn't look at her. "The company folded. Everyone left." "That's not what I asked." "It's the answer you're getting." She waited another beat, then walked away. Noah listened to her footsteps fade into the ambient noise of the office. Keyboards clicking, low conversations, someone laughing at a desk across the room. Normal sounds of a company that didn't know it was dying. He got back to work. The bypass took another hour to code. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't even particularly smart. It was a patch, a temporary fix, the kind of thing that would make any real engineer wince. But it might work. He ran it through a simulator first. The system stuttered, choked on the raw data, then began processing. Numbers stabilized, traffic flow normalized, error rates dropped to near zero. in simulation. "Simone," he called across the office. She appeared within seconds, looking wired and half dead at the same time. "Yeah? I've got a potential fix. Need you to review it before we implement." She pulled up a chair and scanned the code. Her expression went from curious to skeptical to something close to horrified. "You're bypassing the entire filter architecture. Temporarily. This could flood the decision engine with garbage data. It could, or it could give the system a chance to learn what normal actually looks like. Or it could crash everything and leave us worse off than we started. Also possible?" Simone scrolled through the code again, her fingers drumming against the desk. "This is insane. You have a better idea?" "No, that's what makes it insane." She looked at him. "You really think this will work?" "Honestly, I have no idea. 50-50 at best." "Great. Love those odds." She stood up. "I need to tell Eric." "Wait." Noah grabbed her arm. "Before you do, I need to ask you something. When you integrated the Cascade code, did anyone check it for backdoors?" Simone frowned. "Backdoors? It's open source framework code. Why would there be backdoors?" "Just answer the question." "We ran standard security audits. Nothing flagged." "Standard audits wouldn't catch something built into the logic itself. I'm not talking about malware. I'm talking about intentional design flaws. Ways to make the system fail that look like natural errors." Her frown deepened. "Why would someone do that?" "Because someone did it to Cascade. We had a system that should have worked. It was brilliant, and then it started failing in ways that made no sense. By the time we figured out it was sabotage, the company was dead. You think someone sabotaged Cascade and is now sabotaging us? I think it's possible. The failure patterns are too similar. And if I'm right, my bypass won't fix anything. It'll just expose the real problem." Simone stared at him. "You've known this since this morning." "I've suspected it. And you didn't say anything." "Because I wasn't sure. I'm still not sure. It could just be bad legacy code. It could be coincidence." "But you don't think it is?" Noah said nothing. "Jesus Christ." Simone ran her hands through her braids. Okay. Let's say you're right. Let's say someone deliberately broke Cascade and is now doing the same to us. Who and why? I don't know, but if we implement this bypass and the system still fails, we'll know it's not just bad code. And if it works, then I'm paranoid and you fire me." Simone laughed, sharp and humorless. "I'm not sure which outcome I'm hoping for." She headed toward Eric's office. "I'll tell him. But Noah, if this blows up in our faces, you're the one explaining it to the city." "Fair enough." 20 minutes later, Noah, Simone, Eric, and Lily stood in the conference room while Simone explained the bypass plan. Eric listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he sat back and crossed his arms. "So our options are do nothing and fail the demo, or implement an untested bypass that might work or might destroy everything." "That's about the size of it," Simone said. Eric looked at Noah. "You've been here 6 hours. You really think you understand our system well enough to make this call?" "No," Noah said, "but I understand Cascade's system. And yours is built on the same foundation, same strengths, same weaknesses. Cascade failed. Cascade was sabotaged." The room went quiet. Eric's eyes narrowed. "That's a serious accusation," he said. "It's not an accusation, it's history. The post-mortem reports documented it. Someone built failure into the core architecture. The company died before anyone could fix it. And you think the same thing is happening here?" "I think it's possible." "Based on what evidence?" "The failure patterns, the timing, the fact that you've had a dozen experts look at this and no one can find the problem." Noah met Eric's stare, and the fact that someone went out of their way to integrate Cascade's code into your system. Eric was very still. "We chose that framework because it was solid open source work." "Who made the choice?" "I did, along with our lead architect at the time." "Who was?" "A contractor named Marcus Webb. He worked with us for 8 months during the initial build, then moved on to another project." Noah felt something cold settle in his chest. "Marcus Webb. You know him?" "He was at Cascade, senior developer, left 6 months before the collapse." Simone leaned forward. "You think he sabotaged both companies?" "I don't know, but it's worth looking into." Eric pulled out his phone and started typing. I'm checking his references, his portfolio, everything we had on file. He scrolled for a minute, then stopped. Interesting. What? His portfolio listed 3 previous companies. I'm cross-referencing them now. More scrolling. All 3 are defunct. 2 failed due to system malfunctions. 1 is still in litigation over a data breach. The room was very quiet. Could be coincidence, Lily said, but her voice lacked conviction. Could be, Eric agreed, or it could be exactly what Noah's suggesting. A pattern. He set down his phone. Either way, we still have a demo tomorrow, and we still need to make a decision about this bypass. They all looked at Noah. I can't guarantee it'll work, he said, but it's the only play we have. If the system's failing because of bad filters, this fixes it. If it's failing because of sabotage, this exposes it. Either way, we learn something. And if it crashes the entire system, Eric asked, then we're no worse off than we are now. Actually, we're much worse off. Right now we have a system that limps along. If it crashes completely, we have nothing to demo. You don't have anything to demo now. The city's seen the failures. They know it's unstable. Showing them a limping system doesn't save the contract. Eric looked at Lily. Your call. You brought him in. Lily's expression was tight, conflicted. Noah could see her running calculations. Risk versus reward. Disaster versus opportunity. The weight of every employee in the building. Every investor who'd trusted her. Every promise she'd made. Do it, she said quietly. Implement the bypass. Eric nodded. All right, Simone, work with Noah. Get it done. I want testing started by 6 and a full diagnostic run by midnight. If it holds stable for 6 hours, we use it for the demo. If it crashes, we fall back to manual overrides and pray. On it, Simone said. They filed out. Noah returned to his workstation, Simone pulling up a chair beside him. Okay, she said. Walk me through the implementation. They worked side by side for the next 2 hours, writing code, testing modules, debugging errors. Simone was sharp, faster than Noah in some areas, able to see solutions he'd miss. She asked good questions, challenged his assumptions, made the work better. By 5:30, they had a working implementation. Ready? Simone asked. Noah checked the code one more time. It was as solid as he could make it in the time they had. Still felt like building a bridge out of rope and hope. Ready, he said. Simone initiated the deployment. The code rolled out across the system, filters disabling, raw data streams opening. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then the monitors lit up. Data flooded in, sensor readings, traffic counts, flow rates, all unfiltered and chaotic. The decision engine stuttered, processing speeds dropping as it tried to handle the volume. Error warnings began popping up across the screens. It's choking, Simone said. Processing can't keep up. Give it time. Noah, give it time. The error warnings multiplied. System load climbed toward critical thresholds. Across the office, other engineers were noticing, standing up, pointing at their screens. Then something shifted. The decision engine found a rhythm. Processing speed stabilized. Error rates began dropping. The system was learning, adapting, recognizing patterns in the chaos. Traffic signals across the city adjusted. Not the phantom corrections they'd been making for weeks, but real optimizations based on actual conditions. Flow improved, congestion eased. The numbers on the monitors started turning green. Simone let out a breath she'd been holding. It's working. So far. They watched for another 10 minutes. The system continued stabilizing, performance metrics climbing into acceptable ranges. Not perfect, but functional. Better than it had been in weeks. Eric appeared behind them. Status? Stable, Simone said. Performance is at 78% of optimal. That's better than we've seen in 3 weeks. How long has it been running? 18 minutes. Keep monitoring. I want hourly reports through the night. If it holds until morning, we're in good shape. He looked at Noah. Nice work. Noah nodded but didn't respond. He was watching the data streams, looking for anomalies. Because if he was right about sabotage, it wouldn't be this easy. Whoever built the trap wouldn't let it be bypassed without a fight. His phone buzzed. Mrs. Chen. Noah, it's 6:15. I need to close up. Damn. He'd lost track of time completely. I have to go, he said, standing abruptly. My daughter. Now? Simone looked alarmed. We need you here for monitoring. You know the system now. You can handle it. But if something goes wrong, then you call me. I'll come back. He was already grabbing his jacket. I'm sorry, I have to go. He was out the door before anyone could argue, jogging to his truck, engine starting on the second try. The drive to Mia's school took 12 minutes through rush hour traffic. He pulled into the lot at 6:30 to find Mrs. Chen standing outside with Mia, both of them waiting in the cold drizzle. I'm sorry, Noah said, climbing out. Lost track of time. Mr. Hayes, this is the second time this week. I know, it won't happen again. You said that last time. I mean it this time. Mrs. Chen looked at him for a long moment. I hope so, for Mia's sake. She went back inside. Mia climbed into the truck, quiet. Sorry, baby, Noah said. Work ran late. It's okay. But it wasn't. He could see it in the way she wouldn't look at him, the way her shoulders were pulled in. 7 years old and already learning to hide disappointment. You hungry? He asked. Yeah. What do you want? I don't care. They ended up at a fast food drive-thru eating burgers in the truck while rain hammered the roof. Mia picked at her fries, not really eating. How was school? Noah asked. Fine. Learn anything good? Not really. She was shutting down. He'd seen it before, after long stretches when he was stressed and distracted. She'd retreat into herself, stop asking questions, stop complaining, trying to make herself small so she wouldn't be a problem. Mia, look at me. She did, reluctantly. I'm sorry about today and yesterday. This job, it's temporary, 1 week. After that, things go back to normal. What's normal? The question hit harder than it should have. Because she was right. What was normal? Scrambling for day labor? Coming home exhausted and broke? Living in a motel room? Better, he said. Things will be better. You always say that. I know. But they're not. Noah set down his burger. You're right. They're not. And I'm sorry. I'm doing my best, but my best hasn't been good enough. I know that. Mia was crying now, quiet tears running down her cheeks. I miss Mom. I know, baby. I missed her too. She never forgot to pick me up. The words were a knife, true and unfair and completely justified all at once. You're right, Noah said quietly. She was better at this than me. I didn't mean... No, you did, and that's okay. She was better. She was better at a lot of things. He reached over and wiped her tears with his thumb. But she's not here. So you're stuck with me. And I'm trying. I know I keep screwing up. I know I'm not enough. But I'm trying. Mia threw her arms around him, crying into his jacket. Noah held her, his own throat tight, wishing he could promise her things would be okay. Wishing he believed it himself. They sat like that for a long time, rain drumming overhead, the truck getting cold as the heater struggled to keep up. Finally, Mia pulled back. I love you, Dad. I love you too. Are we going to be okay? Yeah, we're going to be okay. He didn't know if it was true. But he said it anyway, because that's what fathers did. They lied when the truth was too heavy for small shoulders to carry. They drove back to the motel. Mia did her homework while Noah checked his phone. 3 missed calls from Simone. 2 texts from Lily. He called Simone first. Where are you? She asked, no preamble. We've got a situation. Noah's stomach dropped. What kind of situation? The system's degrading. Performance dropped from 78% to 62% in the last hour. Error rates are climbing again. Same patterns as before? No, different. The decision engine is making corrections, but they're overcorrecting. Traffic's getting worse, not better. What changed? Nothing. That's the problem. We didn't touch anything. It just started failing on its own. Noah looked at Mia, bent over her math homework, tongue between her teeth. Looked at the motel room with its water-stained ceiling and broken heater. Looked at the phone in his hand. I'll be there in 20 minutes, he said. Thank you. He hung up and knelt beside Mia. Baby, I have to go back to work. She didn't look up. Okay. I'm going to call Mrs. Thompson next door. She'll come stay with you. I can stay by myself. You're 7. I'll be fine. Mia, I said I'll be fine. Noah wanted to argue. Wanted to say she was too young, that he couldn't leave her alone in a motel room. But Mrs. Thompson was 80 and half deaf, and leaving Mia with her wasn't much better than leaving her alone. "Lock the door," he said. "Don't answer for anyone except me. If you need anything, you call me, okay?" "Okay." "I mean it. Anything." "I know." He kissed the top of her head and left before he could change his mind. Drove through the rain back to the Pearl District, back to the glass building and the bright office and the failing system that might be his only chance at pulling their lives out of the hole they'd fallen into. Simone met him at the elevator. "It's getting worse. We're down to 54% performance. At this rate, we'll be below functional minimums by midnight." They went to the workstation. The monitors told the story. The system was still processing, still making adjustments, but every correction created new problems. Traffic was snarling across the city, backups forming at intersections that should have been flowing smoothly. Noah dove into the logs. The decision engine was working exactly as designed. The problem wasn't the decisions, it was the data feeding them. Raw sensor readings that should have been straightforward were coming through garbled, inconsistent. "The sensors," he said. "Something's wrong with the sensors." "We checked them, they're fine." "Check them again." Physical inspection, everyone in the affected areas. Simone grabbed her phone, started making calls. Eric appeared, looking grim. "Tell me we can salvage this," he said. "I don't know yet," Noah said. "I need to see the sensor data. Raw feeds, not processed." Eric pulled it up on another monitor. Noah compared it to the processed data entering the decision engine. They should have been identical. They weren't. "There," he said, pointing. "The data's being altered between collection and processing." "That's impossible," Eric said. "There's nothing in that pipeline except basic formatting." "Then something got added. Recently." Eric pulled up the pipeline code. It looked clean. Standard data formatting, timestamp verification, basic error checking. Nothing that should alter the actual readings. But buried in the error checking module was a function Noah didn't recognize. Small, innocuous. The kind of thing you'd skip right over if you weren't looking for it. He opened the function, read the code, read it again. "What is it?" Simone asked. Noah sat back. "It's elegant. I'll give him that." "Give who what?" "This function. It checks for data anomalies and corrects them. Except the correction algorithm is randomized. Every time it runs, it introduces small errors. Not enough to trigger alarms, just enough to make the sensor data unreliable." "When was it added?" Eric demanded. "According to the commit history, 3 weeks ago. Same day the problem started." "Who added it?" Eric pulled up the commit log. The username was listed as systemadmin, generic, useless. "That's a shared account," Simone said. "Half the senior staff have access." "Pull the access logs," Noah said. "Find out who was logged in when this was committed." Eric's fingers flew across the keyboard. Access logs appeared, scrolling back 3 weeks. The commit timestamp was 7:13 a.m. on a Tuesday. Only one person had been logged into the system admin account at that time. Eric stared at the screen. "No, that's not possible." "Who?" Lily had appeared, drawn by the tension. Eric didn't answer. Simone leaned over and read the name. "Marcus Webb," she said quietly. "But that's impossible. He left the company 8 months ago." "Did you revoke his access?" Noah asked. The silence was answer enough. "You've got to be kidding me," Simone said. "We left an ex-contractor with admin access to our core systems?" "It's a shared account," Eric said defensively. "We should have changed the password, but you didn't. So he's had access this whole time, could have been watching, waiting for the right moment." Lily's face was pale. "Why would he do this?" "Because someone's paying him," Noah said. "Or because he's working for a competitor. Or because he's just a sadistic bastard who likes watching companies burn. Does it matter?" "Yes," Lily said sharply. "It matters. If we're going to accuse someone of corporate sabotage, we better have more than a commit log." "You want more?" Noah gestured at the screen. "The code's designed to degrade system performance while looking like random errors. The timing matches the start of your problems. The commit came from an account he had access to. What more do you need?" "Proof he's actually behind it, not just circumstantial evidence." "We don't have time for proof. We have..." Noah checked the clock. 16 hours until your demo. If we don't remove this corruption and stabilize the system, you're dead anyway. The room fell silent. Lily looked at Eric, at Simone, at the monitors showing traffic backing up across the city. Remove it, she said. Remove the function, clean the data pipeline, and pray we can stabilize before morning. And Marcus Webb? Eric asked. We'll deal with him after. Right now, save the company. Noah and Simone went to work. The corrupting function was easy to remove. Just delete the code. The damage it had done was harder. 3 weeks of bad data had taught the system wrong patterns. They'd need to reset the learning algorithms, feed it clean historical data, essentially rebuild its understanding from scratch. This'll take hours, Simone said. Then we work hours. They did. Through the evening, through midnight, through the small hours when the office emptied and they were alone with the humming servers and the glowing screens. Lily brought them coffee at 2 a.m., dark circles under her eyes. Eric crashed on the conference room couch at 3. Simone kept working until 4, then put her head down on the desk and passed out mid-sentence. Noah kept going. He was exhausted, running on fumes and desperation, but he'd worked worse shifts for less reason. At least this mattered. By 5:30, the system was processing clean data. By 6, performance metrics were climbing back toward acceptable levels. By 6:45, they were at 83%. Not perfect, but functional. Simone woke up at 7, groggy and disoriented. Did we make it? We made it, Noah said. She looked at the monitors, at the green numbers and stable graphs, and started crying. Just sat there at the desk and sobbed with relief. Noah didn't know what to say. He wasn't good at comfort, wasn't good at moments like this, so he just sat quietly and let her cry. The demo was scheduled for 9 a.m. The team from the city arrived at 8:50. 3 people in suits, carrying tablets and wearing expressions of professional skepticism. Lily met them in the lobby, all smiles and confidence that Noah knew was at least half performance. The demo lasted 90 minutes. The city reps asked hard questions. Eric and Simone answered them. The system performed flawlessly, optimizing traffic flows, responding to real-time conditions, everything it was designed to do. At 10:30, the city reps went into conference with Lily and Eric. Noah waited outside with Simone, both of them too exhausted to be nervous. Think they'll go for it? Simone asked. I have no idea. That was a terrible answer. It was an honest one. She almost smiled. You did good work. Whatever happens, you should know that. So did you. Think we'll ever find out why Webb did it? Maybe. Maybe not. Does it matter? To me? Yeah. I want to understand. I want to know what kind of person does something like that. Noah thought about Cascade, about watching a brilliant company implode while everyone scrambled for answers, about the slow realization that someone had done it deliberately, had built failure into the foundation and walked away whistling. Some people just like to break things, he said. That's all the reason they need. The conference room door opened. Lily stepped out. Her face was unreadable. Then she smiled. Not the professional smile from before, a real one. We got the contract, she said. Simone screamed, actually screamed right there in the office, and grabbed Lily in a hug that nearly knocked them both over. Eric emerged from the conference room grinning, and suddenly the whole office was celebrating. People Noah didn't know clapping him on the back. Congratulations flowing like water. Lily found him in the chaos. Thank you. I don't know how to thank you. Just doing the job. No, you saved us. You know that, right? Without you, we'd be dead right now. Noah nodded. Didn't know what else to do. The rest of your payment, Lily said. I'll have it for you this afternoon. Cash, like you wanted. Appreciate it. And Noah? I know this was supposed to be 1 week, but if you're interested, we could use someone like you on staff. Permanent position, full benefits, real salary. The offer hung in the air between them. Everything Noah needed. Stability, income, a future. I'll think about it, he said. Please do. He left the building at 11, stepping out into weak morning sunlight. The rain had finally stopped. The city looked clean, washed, new. Noah drove back to the motel. Mia was in school. The room was empty. He sat on the bed and stared at nothing, too tired to sleep, too wired to relax. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Then something made him pick up. Noah Hayes? A man's voice, unfamiliar. Who's this? Someone who's been watching you. That was impressive work at Helix, really impressive. Noah's hand tightened on the phone. Marcus Webb. A pause, then a laugh. Smart. I knew you were smart. That's why I chose you. Chose me for what? To find the trap. To prove you could. You passed the test, Noah. Congratulations. This was a test? Everything's a test. Helix was just the latest. And now that I know what you can do, we should talk about what comes next. I'm not interested in whatever you're selling. You don't even know what I'm offering. Don't care. Leave me alone. I will, for now. But Noah, the game's not over. It's just beginning. And whether you like it or not, you're already playing. The line went dead. Noah sat in the quiet motel room, phone in hand, staring at the water-stained ceiling. Somewhere in the city, Marcus Webb was out there, watching, waiting, and Noah had no idea what he'd just stepped into. Noah didn't tell anyone about the call. He picked up Mia from school that afternoon, took her to the park even though the ground was still wet from days of rain. She ran to the swings while he sat on a bench, watching her pump her legs, watching her try to touch the sky with her shoes. Normal kid stuff, the kind of thing she should be doing instead of sitting in motel rooms doing homework on beds that smelled like cigarettes. His phone buzzed. Lily, payment's ready. Can you come by? He texted back tomorrow. Need to spend time with my daughter. Of course. Tomorrow works. Mia wanted ice cream after the park, so he bought her a cone from a truck parked near the entrance. They sat on the curb and ate while pigeons gathered at their feet, hopeful. Dad? Yeah? Are we going to move? Noah looked at her. What makes you ask that? You said things would be better. Does that mean we get to leave the motel? He wanted to say yes. Wanted to promise her an apartment with her own room, a real kitchen, a place that felt like home. But he'd learned not to make promises he couldn't keep. Maybe, he said. We'll see. That means no. That means maybe. She kicked at a pigeon that had gotten too close. I hate the motel. I know. It smells bad. And the TV doesn't work right. And there's fighting next door. I know, baby. Mom wouldn't have let us live there. The words hit like they always did, true and painful and impossible to argue with. You're right, Noah said. She wouldn't have. Mia looked at him, her face serious beyond her years. Are you sad all the time? What? You always look sad, even when you smile. Noah didn't know how to answer that. Didn't know how to explain to a 7-year-old that sadness wasn't something you felt so much as something you carried, a weight that became part of you until you forgot what it felt like to stand up straight. Sometimes I'm sad, he said carefully, but not when I'm with you. You're lying. No, You are. I can tell. You do this thing with your eyes, she demonstrated, squinting slightly. You think you're hiding it, but you're not. Noah almost laughed, almost cried, settled for pulling her into a hug that she tolerated for exactly 5 seconds before squirming away. I'm trying, Mia. That's the truth. I'm trying not to be sad. Okay. She went back to her ice cream, subject closed, the way kids did. No lingering, no processing, just acceptance and moving on. Noah wished he could do that. They went back to the motel as the sun was setting. Mia did her homework while Noah heated up canned soup on the hot plate. They ate watching a game show where people answered questions for money. Mia shouted out answers, wrong more often than right, laughing when she got one correct. At 8, Noah ran a bath. At 8:30, Mia was in bed. At 9, she was asleep. Noah sat in the plastic chair and stared at his phone. Marcus Webb's words kept circling through his head. The game's not over. It's just beginning. What game? What was Webb playing at? He pulled up his laptop, ancient, slow but functional, and started searching. Marcus Webb, software engineer. The results were sparse, a LinkedIn profile that hadn't been updated in 2 years. A few GitHub repositories, mostly empty. Some mentions in tech forums, nothing substantial. Noah dug deeper. Found references to the companies Eric had mentioned. 3 startups, all dead. 2 from system failures, 1 from a data breach. He found news articles, blog posts, post-mortem analyses. Different industries, different technologies, but the same pattern. Promising companies brought down by technical failures that seemed almost deliberate in their precision, but no smoking gun, no evidence Webb was involved beyond having worked at all three companies before they collapsed. Noah switched tactics, searched for cascade systems, found the Wikipedia article, the news coverage, the analysis pieces. Familiar territory. He'd lived through it, watched it happen in real time, watched colleagues scramble to fix problems that shouldn't exist, watched investors pull out, watched the whole thing crumble in slow motion. He found the post-mortem report he'd mentioned to Lily, 40 pages of technical analysis concluding that the system had been sabotaged. Deliberate code insertions designed to cause failure, but the report couldn't identify who'd done it. Too many people with access, too many layers of obfuscation. Webb had been mentioned in the report, one of several senior developers who'd had the access and expertise necessary, but so had a dozen other people. No way to narrow it down further. Noah closed the laptop and rubbed his eyes. He was chasing ghosts. Even if Webb was behind everything, what was Noah supposed to do about it? He wasn't a detective. He wasn't law enforcement. He was a broke single father who'd stumbled into something way over his head. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Still thinking about our conversation? Noah stared at the message. Deleted it. Blocked the number. 30 seconds later, another text from a different number. You can't block me, Noah. We need to talk. Leave me alone. I will. After we talk. Tomorrow. 2 p.m. Pioneer Courthouse Square. Come alone. Or what? Or I make a phone call to Child Protective Services. Anonymous tip about a single father leaving his daughter alone in a motel room while he works overnight. Noah's blood went cold. He looked at Mia, sleeping peacefully 6 feet away. You wouldn't. Try me. 2 p.m. tomorrow. Don't be late. The messages stopped. Noah sat in the dark room, fury and fear warring in his chest. Webb had been watching, knew about Mia, knew about the motel, knew everything. Noah wanted to put his fist through the wall, wanted to track Webb down and beat answers out of him, wanted to grab Mia and run, disappear somewhere Webb couldn't find them. Instead, he sat in the chair and waited for morning. He didn't sleep. At 6 a.m., he got Mia up and ready for school. She complained about being tired, moved slower than usual. He made her oatmeal and coffee. Too much sugar, too much cream, but it got her moving. You okay, Dad? She asked in the truck. Fine. Why? You look mad. Just tired. You always say that. Because it's always true. He dropped her at school and drove to Helix. The office was already buzzing with energy. People were celebrating, the tension of the past weeks replaced by relief and triumph. Someone had brought donuts. Eric was holding court near the coffee station, retelling the story of the demo. Lily found Noah near the entrance. You came. I wasn't sure you would. Said I'd pick up the payment. Right, of course. She gestured toward her office. Come on. The office was small but had windows overlooking the river. Lily pulled an envelope from her desk drawer and handed it to Noah. He opened it. Cash, just like she'd promised. $4,700 bills and 3 50s. He counted it twice to be sure. All there? Lily asked. Yeah, thanks. You earned it. We couldn't have done this without you. She paused. Have you thought about my offer? The permanent position? Noah pocketed the envelope. I need more time. Take all the time you need. The offer stands. But Noah, can I ask you something? Depends on the question. Yesterday, when you found Webb's code, you weren't surprised. You knew someone was sabotaging us before you even started looking. I suspected. Why? Noah looked out the window at the river, the bridges, the city that kept growing and changing while he stayed stuck in place. Because it's what I would have done, he said quietly, if I wanted to destroy a company. Build the failure into the foundation. Make it look like bad luck or bad code. Let everyone else chase ghosts while the real problem stays hidden. Lily was quiet for a moment. That's a pretty dark way to think. I've had a lot of practice. Noah, what happened at Cascade really happened. He turned to face her. I was junior staff. I saw the problems, reported them, got ignored. By the time anyone listened, it was too late. The company folded. I lost my job, my wife left, everything fell apart. That's what really happened. Your wife left because you lost your job? She left because I became someone she didn't recognize. Someone angry and bitter and broke. Can't blame her for that. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was a long time ago. He headed for the door. I'll let you know about the job offer. Noah, wait, there's something else. Lily pulled a folder from her desk. Security pulled Webb's access logs. Complete history of every system he touched while he worked here. And? He didn't just add that corrupting function 3 weeks ago. He's been accessing our systems regularly for months, reading code, downloading files, monitoring our progress. So he's been spying. More than that, look at this. She opened the folder, showed him a printout. 2 months ago, he downloaded our entire client database, every contract, every contact, every piece of proprietary information. Noah studied the log. Who else knows about this? Just Eric and me. We're trying to figure out what to do. If we go to the police, it becomes public. Our clients find out we had a security breach. Could kill the company just as surely as the sabotage would have. So you're going to do nothing. I didn't say that, but we need to be careful. We need proof that would hold up, evidence that doesn't expose us in the process. She looked at him. I was hoping you might help with that. I'm not a detective. No, but you understand how Webb thinks. You've seen his work. If anyone can figure out what he's planning, it's you. Noah thought about the meeting in 2 hours, about Webb's threats, about Mia. I can't help you, he said. Why not? Because I have my own problems to deal with. He left before she could argue. Drove to a coffee shop with Wi-Fi and pulled out his laptop. Spent the next 90 minutes researching Marcus Webb, every scrap of information he could find. Social media accounts, technical forums, professional networks. Built a picture of a man who was smart, careful, and very good at covering his tracks. At 1:45, Noah drove to Pioneer Courthouse Square. The public plaza was busy with lunch hour crowds. He found a bench with a view of the entrances and waited. Webb showed up at exactly 2 p.m. He was younger than Noah expected, mid-30s, fit, wearing expensive casual clothes that screamed tech money, dark hair, designer stubble. The kind of confidence that came from always being the smartest person in the room. He sat down next to Noah without asking. Thanks for coming, Webb said. Didn't have much choice. Everyone has choices. You just didn't like your other options. What do you want? Webb smiled. Right to business. I respect that. What I want is simple. I want to offer you a job. Not interested. You haven't heard the offer. Don't care. Not interested. $500,000. Noah went still. Webb's smile widened. That got your attention. Good. Here's the deal. I work for people who need problems solved. Complex technical problems that require someone who can see what others miss. Someone like you. You mean sabotage. I mean consulting. These companies have vulnerabilities. My clients want to know what they are. That's not illegal. That's due diligence. And when those vulnerabilities get exploited, not my problem. I just identify them. What happens after is between my clients and their targets. Noah stood up. We're done here. Webb grabbed his arm. Not hard, but firm enough to make a point. Sit down, Noah. We're not finished. Let go of me. Or what? You'll make a scene? Draw attention? Think that through. You're already on thin ice with child services. One phone call from a concerned citizen who saw you threatening someone in public, and Mia's in foster care before dinner. Noah sat back down slowly, rage burning in his chest. Better, Webb said. Now listen, I've been watching you for months, ever since I heard you were in Portland. I knew you'd worked at Cascade. Knew you'd seen my work before, even if you didn't realize it at the time, so I set up a test. Helix. Exactly. I needed to know if you were as good as I thought. If you could find my traps, understand my methods. You passed. Better than I expected, actually. That bypass you created was elegant. This is insane. This is business, and you're in a position to benefit. $500,000, Noah. Enough to get your daughter out of that motel. Enough to give her a real life. By helping you destroy companies. By helping me identify weaknesses. What my clients do with that information is their decision, not yours. Your conscience stays clean. Nothing about this is clean. Webb leaned back, casual. You know what I think? I think you're already compromised. You worked at Cascade when it was sabotaged. You didn't report it, didn't go to the authorities, you just walked away. I didn't know it was sabotage until after the company folded. But you suspected. You said so yourself at Helix. You knew something was wrong. You could have pushed harder, dug deeper. Instead, you kept your head down and let it happen. That's not... It's exactly what happened. And you know what? I don't blame you. You were trying to survive. Same thing you're doing now. Same thing everyone does. Webb stood up. Think about my offer. You've got 48 hours. After that, I move on to other candidates and you go back to scrambling for day labor. And if I say no, then nothing happens. I leave you alone. You go back to your life. Webb started walking away, then paused. But ask yourself this. How long can you keep that life going? How many more eviction notices? How many more late pickups before they take Mia away? You're drowning, Noah. I'm offering you a life raft. Pride is expensive. Can you really afford it? He walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Noah sat on the bench for a long time, staring at nothing. People moved past him, busy with their lives, their problems, their ordinary days. None of them knew. None of them saw. He pulled out his phone and called Lily. Noah? Everything okay? Webb contacted me, offered me a job. Silence. Then, what kind of job? The kind where I help him identify vulnerabilities in companies like yours for $500,000. Are you seriously considering it? No. But he's threatening me, knows about Mia, knows I left her alone at the motel, says he'll call child services if I don't cooperate. That's extortion. That's leverage, and it's working. Lily was quiet for a moment. What do you need? Information. Everything you have on Webb, his clients, his contacts, anything that might tell me what he's really planning. You're going after him. I don't have a choice. If I don't, he owns me, and I can't let that happen. This could be dangerous. Everything's dangerous. At least this way I'm choosing the danger instead of having it chosen for me. Okay, come back to the office. I'll show you everything we've got. Noah drove back to Helix. Lily was waiting in the conference room with Eric and Simone. They'd spread files across the table, access logs, communication records, financial documents. This is everything we could pull, Eric said. Webb's work history, his downloads, his system access. It's all here. Noah started reading. Webb had been thorough. He'd accessed nearly every system Helix had, copied documentation, monitored development progress. But more interesting were the timestamps. Most of the access happened late at night or early morning, hours when no one else would be watching. He's careful, Noah said. Never takes too much at once. Spreads his access across weeks. Makes it look like legitimate work. Can we use this as evidence? Lily asked. Not without admitting you left his credentials active for 8 months after he left. That makes you look negligent at best, complicit at worst. So we're screwed. Not necessarily. Noah pulled up one of the log files. These download timestamps. They correspond to external IP addresses. If we can trace where he was downloading from, we might be able to identify his clients. Simone leaned over his shoulder. Those IPs are masked, routed through VPNs and proxies. But the routing has to terminate somewhere. Can you backtrack it? Maybe. It would take time. How much time? A day. Maybe 2 if the trail's complicated. Noah thought about Webb's 48-hour deadline. Do it. Trace every IP you can. I need to know who he's working for. What are you going to do? Eric asked. I'm going to dig into his past, find out how he operates, who he's targeted before. If I can establish a pattern, maybe we can figure out his next move. Lily touched his arm. Noah, be careful. If Webb's as dangerous as you think, I'm already in this. Might as well see it through. He spent the rest of the afternoon in the conference room, combing through files. Webb's employment history was a roadmap of corporate destruction. 6 companies in 8 years. All of them had failed within 18 months of his departure. All of them had experienced mysterious technical problems just before collapse. But the companies themselves were seemingly random. Different industries, different technologies, different markets. No obvious connection. Noah stared at the list until his eyes blurred. There had to be a pattern, something that tied them together. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Having fun with your research? Webb's voice. How did you... I told you. I've been watching. You're in the Helix conference room right now, surrounded by files you think will help you figure me out. They won't. Noah looked around the room. No cameras visible. How was Webb seeing him? You're wondering how I know, Webb continued. I'll give you a hint. I built Helix's security system. Every camera, every access point, every digital eye they have. You think I didn't leave myself a way to watch? Noah felt his stomach drop. You've been monitoring this whole time. Every meeting, every conversation, every moment of panic when you thought you were alone. I've seen it all. Why are you doing this? Because I can. Because it's profitable. And because watching smart people like you scramble is entertaining. Webb paused. But I'm calling with good news. I've decided to extend my deadline. You've got 1 week instead of 48 hours. Why? Because I'm curious. I want to see how far you'll get before you realize you can't win. Call it professional curiosity. I'll find you. No, you won't. But you'll try, and that'll be fun to watch. 1 week, Noah. Then I expect an answer. And if it's no, well, let's just say Mia won't be the only one affected. The line went dead. Noah looked at Lily, Eric, and Simone. He's watching us, right now, through your security cameras. That's impossible, Eric said. We changed all the access credentials after he left. He built the system. He knows how to bypass credentials. Simone was already at a laptop pulling up security protocols. He's right. There's a backdoor in the camera management system. I can see it now. How did we miss this? Because you weren't looking for it, Noah said. Shut it down. All of it. Cameras, access controls, everything Webb might have touched. That'll take hours. Then get started. Lily grabbed Noah's arm. What aren't you telling us? He looked at her, saw the fear there, the understanding that this was bigger than a failed demo or a stolen contract. Webb isn't just sabotaging companies, Noah said quietly. He's studying them, learning their weaknesses. And I think he's selling that information to someone who's using it to acquire the companies after they collapse. Corporate raiders, Eric said. Or worse, someone who can buy failed companies for pennies and strip them for parts. Patents, technology, client lists, everything that made them valuable. How many companies are we talking about? Noah looked at the list. 6 that I can confirm. Probably more that I haven't found yet. That's tens of millions in stolen value, Lily said. At least. Maybe hundreds of millions. Noah stood up. And Helix was supposed to be next. If we hadn't stopped him, you would have failed the demo, lost the contract, and burned through your funding trying to fix unfixable problems. 6 months from now, you'd be bankrupt, and someone would be buying your assets for next to nothing. The room was silent. We need to go to the police, Lily said. With what evidence? Everything we have is circumstantial. Webb's too careful. We need proof he's working with someone. We need to identify his client. Simone's tracing the IPs. That's a start, but I need more. I need to understand how this works, who benefits, how the money flows. How do you plan to find that? Noah looked at the files spread across the table. Somewhere in this mess was an answer, a pattern he wasn't seeing, a connection that would make everything make sense. I'm going to do what Webb expects, he said. I'm going to dig, I'm going to investigate, and I'm going to let him watch while I do it. Why? Because if he's watching, he'll make a mistake. Get cocky, let something slip, and when he does, I'll be ready. Lily looked uncertain. This feels like a terrible plan. You have a better one? She didn't answer. Noah gathered the files he needed and headed for the door. Stopped when Lily called his name. Yeah? If this goes wrong, if Webb makes good on his threats, Mia's going to need someone. I want you to know that I'll help. Whatever she needs. I'll make sure she's taken care of. The words hit harder than they should have. The idea that he might not be around, that Mia might end up alone. Thanks, he said quietly. But it won't come to that. You don't know that. No, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it doesn't. He left before the conversation could go further. Picked up Mia from school, took her to a fast food place with a play area. She ran around with other kids while he sat in a booth and went through Webb's files on his laptop. By the time Mia was tired, Noah had found something. 3 of the companies Webb had targeted were in Portland. All 3 had been acquired after collapse by the same holding company, a shell corporation called Vertex Acquisitions. No public information, no listed officers, just a post office box and a registered agent. But Vertex had made one mistake. They'd filed incorporation papers. and those papers required at least one name. The registered owner was listed as J. Morrison. Noah didn't recognize the name, but it was a starting point, an actual person connected to the acquisitions. He closed the laptop and looked at Mia, who was climbing on a plastic slide, her face flushed with exertion and joy. 7 years old and still able to find happiness in simple things, still able to believe the world was basically good. Noah wanted to keep that for her, wanted to protect her from the ugliness he was uncovering, the corruption and greed and casual cruelty. But to do that, he had to wade deeper into that ugliness himself, had to become someone who could fight on that level. He just hoped he'd still recognize himself when it was over. They went back to the motel. Mia fell asleep quickly, exhausted from playing. Noah sat in the dark with his laptop, researching J. Morrison. At midnight, Simone called. "I traced the IPs," she said without preamble. "Most of them are dead ends, but one of them terminated at a location in downtown Portland, an office building on 5th Avenue. What's there? Law firm. Morrison and Associates." Noah felt something click into place. J. Morrison. You know the name? It's the registered owner of Vertex Acquisitions, the company that's been buying up Webb's targets. So Morrison's the client. Looks like it. Can you get me an address? I want to talk to this person. Noah, that's a bad idea. If Morrison's behind this, then I need to know. Send me the address. Simone was quiet for a moment, then, I'll text it to you, but please be careful. Webb's watching, remember? If you go after Morrison, he'll know. Let him know. Maybe it'll make him nervous. Or maybe it'll make him dangerous. He's already dangerous. At least this way we're doing something about it. Noah hung up and waited for the text. When it came, he memorized the address. 5th Avenue, downtown. Professional building. The kind of place where rich people made deals that destroyed lives without ever getting their hands dirty. Tomorrow, he'd pay J. Morrison a visit. Tonight, he sat in the dark and tried not to think about all the ways this could go wrong. Morning came too fast. Noah stood in the motel bathroom, staring at his reflection in the spotted mirror. He looked like hell. Dark circles under his eyes, 2 days of stubble, the kind of exhaustion that went bone deep, the kind you couldn't sleep off. He splashed water on his face and tried to look like someone who had his life together. Failed. Mia was awake when he came out, sitting on the bed in her pajamas, watching cartoons with the volume low. You didn't sleep, she said without looking at him. I slept a little. You're lying again. Noah sat beside her. Yeah, I am. She turned off the TV. Are we in trouble? Why do you keep asking that? Because you keep acting weird, and you never tell me what's happening. Mom used to do that too, right before you guys got divorced. The comparison stung. This isn't like that. Then what's it like? Noah didn't have a good answer. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that you've stumbled into a corporate conspiracy? That someone's threatening to take her away unless you help them destroy companies? That her father might be in over his head with no idea how to get out? I'm working on something complicated, he said finally. Something that might make things better for us, but it's tricky, and I'm still figuring it out. Is it dangerous? No. You're lying again. Noah looked at her. Really looked. When had she gotten so perceptive? When had she learned to read him so well? Maybe a little dangerous, he admitted, but I'm being careful. Promise? Promise. She studied his face, deciding whether to believe him, then nodded and turned the TV back on. Noah got her ready for school, made breakfast, dropped her off with the usual reminder to be good and work hard. She kissed his cheek before running inside, and he watched her disappear through the doors, wondering how many more mornings like this he'd have if things went wrong. The building on 5th Avenue was all glass and steel, the kind of place where money whispered instead of shouted. Morrison and Associates occupied the 12th floor. Noah took the elevator up, trying to look like he belonged. His work boots and worn jacket didn't help. The reception area was sleek and modern. A young woman sat behind a curved desk, her smile professional and empty. Can I help you? I'm here to see J. Morrison. Do you have an appointment? No. Her smile tightened. Mr. Morrison doesn't see anyone without an appointment. Noah felt something shift in his understanding. Mr. Morrison? Yes, is there a message I can pass along? I need 5 minutes of his time. It's about Vertex acquisitions. The receptionist's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or concern. I'll check if he's available. Your name? Noah Hayes. She picked up the phone, spoke quietly, listened, hung up. Mr. Morrison will see you. Down the hall, last door on the right. Noah walked past her, down a corridor lined with expensive art. The door at the end was already open. The office was corner suite, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Behind a massive desk sat a man in his 60s, silver hair immaculate, suit probably worth more than Noah's truck. He didn't stand when Noah entered. Mr. Hayes, I was wondering when you'd show up. Noah closed the door. You know who I am? Of course. Marcus speaks highly of you. Morrison gestured to a chair. Please, sit. I'll stand. Suit yourself. Morrison leaned back, fingers steepled. What can I do for you? You can stop pretending you don't know why I'm here. Humor me. Vertex acquisitions. You're buying companies that Marcus Webb sabotages. 6 so far that I can prove. Probably more I haven't found yet. Morrison's expression didn't change. That's quite an accusation. Do you have evidence? I have Webb's access logs, financial records. IP traces that led back to this office. I have enough. Enough for what? A conspiracy theory? Mr. Hayes, I run a legitimate investment firm. We acquire struggling companies and help them recover. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. There's nothing illegal about that. There is when you're creating the struggle. Webb sabotages the companies, drives down their value, and you swoop in to buy them cheap. Again, evidence? I'm working on it. Morrison smiled. Not friendly, just amused. Then we don't have much to talk about, do we? Noah stepped closer to the desk. I know what you're doing. I know Webb is working for you, and I'm going to prove it. No, you're not. Morrison stood now, moving to the window. You're going to go back to your life. You're going to take Marcus's offer, and you're going to help us identify our next opportunities. That's not happening. It is, because the alternative is worse. Morrison turned to face him. Did you really think I'd have this conversation without preparation? I know everything about you, Mr. Hayes. Your employment history, your financial situation, your daughter. Noah's hands clenched. Leave her out of this. I would love to, but you're making that difficult. Morrison walked back to his desk, pulled out a folder. Mia Hayes, age 7, currently enrolled at Bridgeport Elementary, lives with her father in a month-to-month motel. Mother deceased 3 years ago. Father has had 17 different jobs in that time, chronic instability, questionable living conditions. Stop. Child Services would be very interested in this situation, especially if someone provided them with documentation. Photos, maybe. A concerned citizen's report. Noah was across the desk before he realized he'd moved. His hand grabbed Morrison's collar, yanking him forward. You threaten my daughter again, and I will end you. Morrison didn't flinch. Didn't even look scared. Just disappointed. There it is, the anger. Marcus said you had it in you, but you've been beaten down so far I wasn't sure. He straightened his collar when Noah released him. Sit down, Mr. Hayes. Let's talk like adults. Noah didn't sit, didn't move. Here's the situation, Morrison continued. You have 2 choices. Work with us, make more money than you've ever dreamed of, and give your daughter the life she deserves. Or fight us, lose everything, and watch her end up in foster care while you're dealing with charges I can easily arrange. Charges for what? Does it matter? Trespassing? Harassment? Hell, I could claim you threatened me just now, which you did, by the way. My security cameras caught the whole thing. Noah looked around, found the camera in the corner, red light blinking. You're recording this. Always. I learned that from Marcus. Documentation is everything. Noah felt the trap closing. Everything he said, everything he did was being captured, twisted, turned into leverage. You can't win this, Morrison said, almost gently. The system is rigged. I have money, lawyers, connections. You have, what, anger and determination? That's admirable. It's also worthless. People will listen. I'll tell them what you're doing. Who? The police? They'll want evidence. You have none. The media? They'll want proof. You have none. Your friend Lily at Helix? I already know you've been working with her. One phone call from me to her investors suggesting her company has security issues and her funding disappears. Noah stared at him. You've thought of everything. That's what makes me successful. I anticipate problems and neutralize them before they become threats. Morrison sat back down. You're not a threat, Mr. Hayes. You're an opportunity. Marcus sees potential in you. I'm willing to invest in that potential, but only if you stop fighting and start cooperating. And if I refuse? Then you lose everything. Your daughter, your freedom, whatever small dignity you're still clinging to. Is that really what you want? No, Noah thought. It wasn't. But cooperation meant becoming them, meant helping destroy companies, ruin lives, all for money that would never wash clean. I need time to think, he said. You have 24 hours. After that, I make some calls, starting with child services. Noah turned and walked out. Made it to the elevator before his legs started shaking. Made it to the ground floor before the fury hit him like a physical thing. He sat in his truck in the parking garage, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. Everything Morrison said was true. Noah had no evidence that would hold up, no resources to fight, no way to win. But he couldn't just give up, couldn't let them win. His phone rang. Lily. Where are you? She asked. Downtown. Just met with Morrison. And? He threatened Mia, said he'd call child services if I don't cooperate. Lily swore. That's illegal. We can't do anything. He's got lawyers, money, everything we need and don't have. So what are you going to do? Noah looked at the concrete wall in front of him, the gray expanse that matched how he felt inside. I don't know yet. Come back to the office. We'll figure something out. There's nothing to figure out. I'm screwed either way. Noah, I'll call you later. He hung up before she could argue. Sat in the truck trying to think, trying to find an angle he hadn't considered. Came up empty. His phone buzzed. Text from Webb. Told you that you couldn't win. Morrison's good, isn't he? Really knows how to make a point. Noah didn't respond. 24 hours, Noah. Then things get ugly. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Noah threw the phone onto the passenger seat and started the engine. He needed to drive, needed to move, needed to do something other than sit and feel helpless. He drove without destination, through the city, past the places where people had normal lives and normal problems, past the coffee shops and boutiques and office buildings where success was measured in stock options and corner offices. He ended up at the waterfront, parked and walked along the river, cold wind cutting through his jacket. The water was gray-brown, turbulent, fitting. His phone rang again, different number. Yeah? Mr. Hayes, this is Jennifer Chen. Noah's stomach dropped. The after-school program director. Is Mia okay? She's fine, but I need to talk to you about something. Can you come by this afternoon? What's this about? I'd prefer to discuss it in person. Mrs. Chen, please, just tell me what's going on. She was quiet for a moment. We had a visit this morning. From child services. They had questions about Mia's living situation, about you. Noah felt the world tilt. Morrison had moved fast, less than an hour after their conversation, and he'd already made the call. What did you tell them? Noah asked. The truth, that you're sometimes late for pickup, but you're trying. That Mia seems well cared for despite the circumstances. She paused. Mr. Hayes, they're opening an investigation. They'll want to interview you. Inspect where you're living, evaluate whether Mia's environment is appropriate. When? They didn't say, but soon. Noah leaned against the railing, fighting nausea. Okay, thank you for telling me. Mr. Hayes, I hope you understand, I had to answer their questions honestly. I know. You did the right thing. He hung up and stared at the river, thought about walking in, just ending it, sparing Mia the trauma of being taken away, the foster system, the uncertainty. But that was the coward's way out, and whatever else he wasn't a coward. He called Lily back. I need a lawyer, a good one, someone who handles child services cases. What happened? Morrison called them. They're investigating. I need to fight this. Okay, I know someone. Let me make some calls. Lily, I can't afford this. Don't worry about money right now. Just worry about Mia. Noah almost laughed. Don't worry about money. Easy to say when you had it. Thanks, he managed. We're going to fix this, Noah. I promise. Promises. Everyone made promises. Nobody kept them. He drove to the elementary school early, waited in the parking lot. When 3 o'clock came and Mia walked out, he was standing by the truck. She ran to him, backpack bouncing. Dad, you're early. Thought we could do something fun this afternoon. Really? Like what? Your choice. She thought about it seriously, the way kids did when given real agency. Can we go to the science museum? We learned about volcanoes today and I want to see the lava exhibit. Sure, let's go. They spent 3 hours at the museum. Mia ran from exhibit to exhibit, asking questions, reading every placard, touching every interactive display. Noah followed, answering what he could, watching her absorb information like a sponge. Smart kid. Too smart, maybe. She'd already figured out something was wrong, already learned to read his moods, anticipate his stress. 7 years old and carrying worry that should belong to him alone. At the volcano exhibit, she pressed the button that simulated an eruption. Watched the fake lava flow down the mountainside, glowing red against gray rock. Dad, did you know that some volcanoes are dormant for hundreds of years and then just explode? I didn't know that. The pressure builds up inside and they can't hold it anymore. So they erupt. She looked at him. You're like that sometimes? Like what? Like you're holding everything in until you explode. Noah knelt beside her. Is that scary for you? She shook her head. Not scary, just sad. I wish you could let some of the pressure out so it doesn't build up so much. He hugged her then, right there in front of the volcano exhibit, not caring who saw. I love you, baby. I love you too. They got dinner at a pizza place, the kind with arcade games and animatronic animals singing off-key. Mia played games while Noah nursed a beer and tried not to think about tomorrow, about investigations and lawyers and decisions that could cost him everything. His phone buzzed. Email from Lily with a name and number, Sarah Michaels, family law attorney. Lily had already contacted her, explained the situation. She was expecting Noah's call. He stepped outside and made the call. Mr. Hayes? Professional voice, clipped. Lily Arden told me about your situation. I need to be straight with you. These cases are difficult. Child Services has broad authority, and once they start investigating, they're looking for reasons to remove the child, not reasons to keep the family together. So what do I do? First, we establish that you're providing adequate care. That means stable housing, regular employment, a safe environment. Can you demonstrate those things? Noah looked through the window at Mia, feeding tokens into a game where you whacked mechanical moles with a mallet. No, he said honestly. Not right now. Then that's our first priority. How quickly can you secure stable housing? I have $10,000. That's enough for first and last month on an apartment, maybe some furniture. Do it, today if possible. Show Child Services you're taking immediate action to improve the situation. What about employment? Do you have a job offer? He thought about Lily's offer. Permanent position at Helix, real salary, benefits. Everything he needed. Yeah, I have an offer. Accept it. Get something in writing. Child Services will want to see employment verification. Okay, what else? I'll need to meet with you in person, get the full story. But Mr. Hayes, you should know that if Morrison is behind this investigation, he'll be feeding information to Child Services, painting the worst possible picture. We'll be fighting uphill. Can we win? She was quiet for a beat. If you do everything right, if we can demonstrate immediate improvement, if the caseworker is reasonable, maybe. But I won't lie to you. The odds aren't good. They never are. I'm sorry. I wish I had better news. Just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. They arranged a meeting for the next morning. Noah hung up and went back inside. Mia had won a string of tickets from one of the games and was cashing them in for a cheap plastic ring that would break in a day. She showed it to him proudly. Look, it changes color based on your mood. That's great, baby. What's your mood right now? Noah looked at the ring on her finger, already turning some indeterminate color. Happy, he lied. Because I'm with you. She smiled and went back to the games. Noah pulled out his phone and called Lily. I need that job, the one you offered. I'll take it. Really? Noah, that's great. I'll draw up the paperwork tomorrow. I need it tonight, in writing. Employment contract with salary, benefits, start date, everything official. Tonight, that's... Okay, yeah, I can do that. Why the rush? Because Child Services wants to see stable employment, and I need to give them something to see. Understanding dawned. They're moving that fast? Morrison doesn't mess around. Okay, come by the office at 8. I'll have everything ready. Thanks. Next call was to an apartment complex he'd looked at months ago before he'd run out of money. The manager remembered him. Mr. Hayes, still looking for a 2-bedroom? Yeah, what do you have available? I've got a unit on the second floor, $1,200 a month plus deposit. I'll take it. Can I move in tomorrow? That's fast. I'll need first month, last month, and security deposit. $3,600 total, plus application fee. I'll have a cashier's check in the morning. Then we have a deal. Noah hung up and did the math. $5,000 for the apartment and deposit. That left $5,000 from the Helix payment. Not much cushion, but it was enough to show Child Services he was making changes. He collected Mia from the games and drove to the motel, packed their belongings, didn't take long, they didn't have much, and loaded everything into the truck. Mia watched, confused. Are we leaving? Yeah, baby, we're getting a real apartment, tonight. Really? Her face lit up. With my own room? With your own room? She hugged him so hard he thought his ribs might crack. They drove to the office supply store and Noah printed his resume, updated his references, made everything look professional. Then to the bank to arrange the cashier's check for tomorrow. Then to Helix, where Lily was waiting with employment papers. This is official, she said, handing him the contract. Start date is Monday. Salary is $85,000 annually. Health insurance, 401k, the works. Noah stared at the number. $85,000. More than he'd made in the last 3 years combined. This is too much. It's market rate for what you'll be doing. Systems analyst, security consultant. You earned this. He signed the papers, hands shaking slightly. Lily gave him copies. You're really doing this, she said, fighting back. I don't have a choice. Yes, you do. You could run, disappear, take Mia and start over somewhere else. And spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, waiting for Morrison to find us? No. If I'm going down, it'll be fighting. Lily touched his arm. You're not going down. We're going to beat this. Noah wanted to believe her. Wanted to think that doing the right things, getting an apartment, accepting the job, showing improvement, would be enough. But he'd seen how the system worked, how money and power bent rules until they broke, how people like Morrison won because they could afford to. Still, he had to try. He spent that night in a hotel, an actual hotel, not a motel, with Mia asleep in one bed while he sat up making lists. Everything Child Services would want to see. Everything he needed to prove. Everything that could go wrong. At midnight, his phone buzzed. Text from Webb. Heard you're making moves. Apartment, job, lawyer. Impressive. But you know it won't be enough, right? Noah typed back. Watch me. I am watching. And I'm telling you, Morrison always wins. The sooner you accept that, the easier this gets. Go to hell. You first. Noah turned off the phone and went to the window. Looked out at the city lights, the buildings where people slept without worrying about losing their children, without carrying the weight of impossible choices. Tomorrow, he'd meet with the lawyer, sign the apartment lease, start the job, build the evidence that he was a fit parent, that Mia was safe and cared for. And somewhere in all of that, he'd figure out how to take down Morrison and Webb before they could destroy him. It was a long shot, maybe impossible, but it was the only shot he had. At 2 a.m., unable to sleep, Noah opened his laptop and went back to the files Simone had given him. Traced Webb's pattern again, looking for something he'd missed. Some crack in the armor. Some mistake. And found it. Webb had been careful. But in 3 of the companies he'd sabotaged, he'd used the same method, the same type of corrupting function, just disguised differently. And in all 3 cases, the function had been added exactly 14 days before the company's critical deadline. 14 days, like clockwork. Noah pulled up Helix's timeline. Webb had added the corrupting function 21 days before their demo. 7 days early. Why? Unless... Noah's heart started racing. Unless Webb hadn't been the only one. Unless someone at Helix was working with him. Someone with access who could add the function early, give Webb cover, make it look like his pattern while actually being ahead of schedule. He pulled up the commit logs again. The system admin account had been used. But shared accounts meant multiple people could have been logged in. He needed the raw server logs, the ones that showed who was actually at a terminal when the commit happened. He called Simone. She answered on the fourth ring, groggy. Noah? It's 2 a.m. I need server access logs. Physical terminal access for the day Webb's function was added. Now? Now please. I think someone at Helix is working with him. She was quiet for a beat. Then, okay, give me 20 minutes. He waited, staring at the screen. 23 minutes later, an email arrived with an attachment. Noah opened it, scanned the logs. 3 people had been at terminals with system admin access that morning. Eric Tan, Simone Bradley, and one other, David Park, junior developer. Noah didn't know the name. He called Simone back. Who's David Park? Junior dev. Started 6 months ago. Why? He had terminal access when the corrupting function was committed. So did Eric and I. Yeah, but I know you didn't do it. And Eric's the CTO. He wouldn't sabotage his own company. David's a kid, 23, fresh out of college. You really think he's working with Webb? I think it's worth finding out, Simone sighed. I'll pull his employment records, send them to you in the morning. Thanks. And Simone, don't tell anyone about this yet. If Park is involved, I don't want him getting spooked. You think he's dangerous? I think everyone connected to this is dangerous. Just be careful. He hung up and stared at the name. David Park. If he could prove Park was working with Webb, that was evidence, real evidence, the kind that might actually matter, the kind that might give him leverage against Morrison. Noah closed the laptop and looked at Mia, sleeping peacefully in the hotel bed. Tomorrow would be brutal. Apartment lease, lawyer meeting, starting a job, building a case. But for the first time in days, he felt something other than helplessness. He felt like maybe, just maybe, he had a chance. Morning came with the sharp clarity that follows sleepless nights. Noah got Mia ready while his mind ran through the day ahead like a combat checklist. Apartment lease at 9, lawyer at 10:30, Helix at noon to start the job and confront David Park. Somewhere in between, convince Child Services he wasn't the disaster Morrison had painted him to be. Easy. The apartment manager met them at the complex with keys and papers. The unit was small but clean. 2 bedrooms, a galley kitchen, carpet that had seen better days but didn't have cigarette burns. Mia walked through it like she was touring a palace. This one's mine? She asked, standing in the smaller bedroom. That's yours. She spun in a circle, arms out. I can put my bed here and my desk here and maybe we can get a bookshelf? Maybe. When can we move in? Today. After I sign the papers. Noah handed over the cashier's check, signed the lease, took the keys. Just like that, they had a home. Felt surreal. Felt temporary. Felt like something that could be taken away at any moment. But it was theirs. He dropped Mia at school, early for once, and drove to Sarah Michaels' office. She was younger than he expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes and a handshake that meant business. Mr. Hayes, thank you for coming in. Let's get straight to it. She pulled out a legal pad. Tell me everything, and I mean everything. Child Services will dig into every corner of your life. I need to know what they'll find before they find it. Noah talked for 40 minutes. The motel, the late pickups, the string of jobs, the night he'd left Mia alone, Rachel's death, the divorce that never quite finalized before the accident, everything. Sarah took notes without judgment, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When he finished, she set down her pen. Okay, here's where we stand. The good news is you've made immediate improvements. New apartment, stable employment, you're clearly trying. The bad news is Morrison's people will fight dirty. They'll twist everything, make the motel sound like abuse, make the late pickups sound like neglect. Can they win? Depends on the caseworker. Some are reasonable, looking for the best outcome for the child. Others follow the letter of the law and remove first, ask questions later. She leaned forward. But here's what we have going for us. Mia's thriving. Good grades, no behavioral issues, clearly bonded with you. That matters. And you're taking action before being forced to. That matters too. What do I need to do? Document everything. The apartment, the job, your schedule. Keep a journal of your interactions with Mia. Get character references from teachers, neighbors. anyone who can vouch for you as a parent, and prepare for the home visit. When they come, and they will come, everything needs to be perfect. Clean apartment, food in the fridge, Mia's room set up properly. They'll be looking for reasons to remove her. Don't give them any. Noah nodded. And Morrison, if he's feeding them information, we document that too. If we can prove he's manipulating the investigation, that works in our favor. But we need evidence. Emails, recordings, something concrete. I'm working on it. Work fast. These cases move quickly once they start. Noah left the lawyer's office with a to-do list and a sense of controlled panic. He had maybe a week before Child Services showed up. A week to make everything perfect while also taking down Morrison and Webb. No pressure. He drove to Helix. Simone was waiting with David Park's employment file. Pulled everything I could find, she said, handing over the folder. But Noah, I talked to David this morning. He seems like a good kid. I have a hard time believing he's involved. Noah opened the file. David Park, 23, graduated from Portland State with a computer science degree. Hired 6 months ago as a junior developer. Performance reviews were solid, no red flags. Except one. His references, Noah said. Who did you call? His previous employer. Some startup in Seattle that folded last year. Which startup? Simone checked her notes. TechBridge Solutions? Why? Noah pulled up his laptop, searched the company. TechBridge Solutions had collapsed 8 months ago due to system failures. Same pattern, same timeline. And Marcus Webb had been listed as a senior consultant. That's not a coincidence, Noah said. Simone's face went pale. You think Webb planted David here? I think Webb recruited him at TechBridge, brought him to Helix and used him as an inside man. Makes sense. David's young, probably needed money. Maybe Webb convinced him it was harmless. What do we do? We talk to him, but carefully. If we spook him, he'll warn Webb, and we lose our chance. They found David at his desk, headphones on, typing code. He looked up when they approached, pulled off the headphones, smiled nervously. Hey Simone, what's up? David, this is Noah Hayes. He's joining our security team. We need to talk to you about some access logs. The smile faltered. Just a flicker, but Noah caught it. What kind of logs? The system admin commits from 3 weeks ago, Noah said. You were logged in that morning. I mean, yeah. I have admin access. I use it sometimes for deployments. Did you deploy anything that morning? I don't remember. I'd have to check my notes. Check them. David pulled up a document, scrolled through it. No, nothing that day. I must have just been logged in for something else. Like what? I don't know. Maybe checking logs? Sometimes I review error reports in the morning. Noah leaned against the desk. David, I'm going to ask you a direct question. I need you to answer honestly. Do you know Marcus Webb? The color drained from David's face. Why are you asking me that? Because we know Webb sabotaged our system. We know someone helped him, and your name keeps coming up. I don't. David stood up, hands shaking. I need to go. Sit down, Simone said, her voice sharp. You're not going anywhere until we figure this out. Am I being accused of something? Because if I am, I want to talk to a lawyer. No one's accusing you yet, Noah said, but if you're involved, now's your chance to come clean. Help us, and maybe we can help you. David looked between them, panic clear on his face. Then his shoulders sagged. I didn't know it would hurt anyone, he said quietly. I swear I didn't know. Simone pulled up a chair. Start from the beginning. The story came out in halting pieces. Webb had recruited David at TechBridge, told him he was doing security testing, that the company had hired him to find vulnerabilities. David had been young, naive, desperate to prove himself. He'd given Webb access, helped him plant code, never questioned what was really happening. When TechBridge collapsed, Webb had disappeared, and David had convinced himself it was just bad luck. Then Webb had contacted him 6 months ago, told him about an opportunity at Helix, helped him get the job, asked him to do the same thing, just security testing, nothing malicious. David had believed him again, or wanted to believe him, or maybe just needed the money Webb was paying. How much? Noah asked. $5,000 for each time I gave him access. How many times? 3. The last time was when he added that function. I didn't know what it did. I just gave him the login credentials. Simone looked disgusted. You sold out your own company for $15,000? I didn't think, he said it was authorized, that you guys knew about it. And you believe that? David put his head in his hands. I'm an idiot. I know. I'm so sorry. Noah pulled out his phone. You're going to call Webb right now. Tell him we're on to him. Tell him we know about Morrison. See how he reacts. He'll kill me. He'll ruin you either way. At least this way you might avoid prison. David took the phone with shaking hands and dialed. Put it on speaker. Webb answered on the second ring. David, what's wrong? They know. Hayes and the others. They figured it out. Silence. Then a laugh. Of course they did. I was wondering how long it would take. What do I do? Nothing. Sit tight. I'll handle it. Marcus, I can't. They're talking about police, about charges. Then don't talk to the police. Simple as that. You help them, and I make sure everyone knows you were the one who sabotaged Helix. You stay quiet, and this goes away. How? Because Morrison's already cleaning it up. By tomorrow, none of this will matter. The call ended. David looked up at Noah. What does he mean? Noah's phone buzzed. Text from Lily. Emergency. Morrison's people are here. They're trying to force a board meeting. He means they're making their move, Noah said. Stay here. Don't leave. Don't call anyone. He ran to the conference room. Lily was there with Eric, facing two men in expensive suits. One of them was speaking, representing a consortium of investors who hold 43% of Helix Dynamics. We're invoking our right to call an emergency board meeting to discuss leadership and company direction. On what grounds? Eric demanded. Gross negligence, security failures, breach of fiduciary duty. Take your pick. The lawyer slid a folder across the table. This documents every security lapse in the past 6 months, including evidence that an ex-employee had continued access to your core systems. That's grounds for removal of current leadership. Lily's face was white. This is Morrison. Mr. Morrison is one of several concerned investors. The meeting is scheduled for 4 p.m. today. We expect your cooperation. They left. Eric slammed his hand on the table. They're trying to take the company, force us out, install their own people, strip everything of value. Can they do that? Lily asked. If they have 43% and can convince 1 or 2 other investors to join them, yeah, they can. Noah looked at the documents. It was all there. Webb's access, the security breaches, everything framed to make Helix look incompetent and Lily look negligent. How many board members are there, what? Noah asked. 7, Lily said. Morrison's group controls 3 seats. We need 4 votes to block them. Who else is on the board? 2 independent investors and the founder, Dr. Sarah Chen. She's semi-retired but still holds 20%. Will she vote with you? I don't know. We haven't talked in months. Noah checked the time. 11:30, 4.5 hours until the meeting. We need to call her, he said. And we need evidence that Morrison orchestrated this whole thing. Not just Webb's sabotage. Proof that Morrison's been targeting you from the beginning. How do we get that? Noah thought about David, terrified and cooperative. Thought about Webb, cocky and watching. Thought about Morrison, pulling strings from his office tower. We set a trap, he said. 20 minutes later, Noah was back in Morrison's office. Unannounced, uninvited, walking past the receptionist's protest straight to the corner suite. Morrison looked up from his computer, annoyed. Mr. Hayes, we had an agreement. 24 hours. You still have... He checked his watch. 12 hours to make your decision. I've made it. I'm in. Morrison's expression shifted to satisfaction. Smart choice. I'll have Marcus draw up the paperwork. Not yet. First, I need guarantees about Mia, about child services. I need that investigation dropped. That can be arranged. I want it in writing, and I want proof you can deliver. Because if you're bluffing, if you can't actually control child services, then this deal is worthless. Morrison smiled. You want proof I have influence. Fair enough. He picked up his phone, made a call. Jennifer, it's Morrison. That Hayes case you're working on. Close it. Insufficient evidence, no further action needed. Yes, today. Thank you. He hung up and looked at Noah. Satisfied? Noah kept his face neutral. That was child services? That was the deputy director. We go way back. The investigation is over. Your daughter stays with you. Now, do we have a deal? Yeah, we have a deal. They shook hands. Morrison pulled out a contract already prepared. Noah signed it without reading, hands steady. Welcome to the team, Morrison said. Marcus will be in touch with your first assignment. Noah stood to leave, then paused. One question. The board meeting this afternoon at Helix. That's you, right? Morrison didn't even try to hide it. Of course. Webb softened them up. Now we move in for the acquisition. Standard playbook. And Lily? Will be out by tonight, replaced by someone more cooperative. Nothing personal, just business. Noah nodded. Just business. He left the office, got in the elevator, and waited until the doors closed before pulling out his phone. The recording app had been running the entire time. He sent the audio file to Lily with a message. Got him. See you at the meeting. The board meeting convened at 4 p.m. in Helix's largest conference room. 7 people around the table. Lily and Eric on one side. Morrison and his 2 allied investors on the other. Dr. Sarah Chen sat at the head of the table, elderly but sharp-eyed. The 2 independent investors flanked her. Morrison's lawyer stood to present the case. Negligence, security failures, breach of duty. Everything rehearsed and damning. When he finished, Morrison addressed Dr. Chen directly. Sarah, you built this company. You deserve better than watching it be run into the ground by people who can't even secure their own systems. Vote with us. Let's put Helix back on track. Dr. Chen looked at Lily. Do you have a response to these allegations? Lily stood, placed a laptop on the table, and pressed play. Morrison's voice filled the room. The board meeting this afternoon at Helix, that's you, right? Of course. Webb softened them up. Now we move in for the acquisition. Standard playbook. The color drained from Morrison's face. That recording is illegal. Inadmissible. In court, maybe, Dr. Chen said, but this isn't court. This is my company, and you just admitted to orchestrating sabotage. I said nothing of the sort. I was referring to standard business practices. You said Webb softened them up. Marcus Webb, who we've now confirmed sabotaged our systems, who was paid by you through Vertex acquisitions. Lily placed another document on the table. We have the money trail. Wire transfers from Vertex to Webb's accounts. Dates matching each company he's destroyed. One of the independent investors stood up. If this is true, Morrison, you've committed fraud, multiple counts. This is speculation, circumstantial. We also have David Park's testimony, Eric added. Documented confession that Webb recruited him, paid him, used him to access our systems. David's willing to testify in exchange for immunity. Morrison looked around the table, seeing the trap closing. You can't prove I knew what Webb was doing. Noah stepped into the room. He'd been waiting outside, listening. Actually, we can, he said. He placed his phone on the table, played another recording. Morrison's voice from 40 minutes ago. That can be arranged. Then the phone call to Child Services. Morrison's casual abuse of power to drop an investigation as a bargaining chip. That's extortion, one of the investors said, using government connections to manipulate investigations. Morrison stood up, his composure cracking. This is entrapment. Hayes came to me under false pretenses. I came to you because you threatened my daughter, Noah said evenly. And you proceeded to confess to conspiracy, fraud, and abuse of power, all of which is now recorded and backed up in multiple locations. Dr. Chen looked at Morrison with something close to contempt. I've known you for 15 years, Morrison. I thought you were ruthless but honest. Turns out you're just ruthless. Sarah, get out of my company. Sell your shares. Resign from the board. You have 24 hours. After that, we go to the authorities with everything we have. Morrison's lawyer whispered something urgent. Morrison shook his head, then looked at Noah. You think you've won? You haven't. I have lawyers, resources, connections, and I have evidence, Noah said, along with testimony from 6 companies you've destroyed. You want to fight this in court? Fine. Let's see how your connections hold up when the FBI starts investigating interstate fraud and corporate espionage. The room was silent. Morrison stared at Noah for a long moment, seeing something he hadn't expected. Someone who wouldn't back down, someone who'd learned to fight on his level. This isn't over, Morrison said. Yeah, it is, Noah replied. Morrison left, his lawyer scrambling after him. The allied investors followed, muttering about legal counsel and damage control. Dr. Chen looked at Lily. You handled this well. Better than I would have. Noah handled it. I just didn't get in his way. Dr. Chen turned to Noah. Mr. Hayes, Lily tells me you're joining the company. I hope you know what you're signing up for. More than I did a week ago. She almost smiled. That's usually how it works. Welcome to Helix. The meeting adjourned. Lily caught Noah in the hallway. Is it really over? Morrison's just going to walk away? No, but he's smart enough to know when he's beaten. He'll cut his losses, restructure, find another angle. Guys like him always do. And Webb? Webb's a mercenary. Without Morrison's money, he'll move on, find another client. But he won't come after us again. It's not worth the risk. Lily hugged him suddenly, fiercely. Thank you. For everything. For saving the company. For not giving up. Noah returned the hug awkwardly, unused to gratitude. Just doing the job. No, you did more than that. You risked everything. Your custody case, your safety, everything. He pulled back. Speaking of which, I should check on that. Make sure Morrison actually made that call. He stepped outside and dialed Sarah Michaels. Mr. Hayes, I was just about to call you. The investigation's been dropped. Insufficient evidence to proceed. You're clear. Noah felt something unclench in his chest. Just like that? Just like that. Looks like someone with influence made a call. That someone wouldn't happen to be Morrison, would it? It would. Then I'd document everything. If he tries to reverse it later, we'll need proof he interfered. Already done. Good. You're learning. How's the apartment? We're moving in tonight. Excellent. Keep me updated. And Mr. Hayes, congratulations. You won. Noah hung up and stood in the parking lot. Late afternoon sun breaking through the clouds. He'd won. Mia was safe. He had a job, an apartment, a future that looked less like drowning and more like staying afloat. He should have felt relieved, triumphant, something. Instead, he just felt tired. His phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Hayes? Noah, it's Webb. Noah's hand tightened on the phone. What do you want? To congratulate you. That was impressive work, better than I expected. Thanks. Now leave me alone. I will. But I wanted you to know this wasn't personal. It was just business. I don't have anything against you. You threatened my daughter. I use leverage. It's what I do, but I never would have actually hurt her. You have to know that. I don't have to know anything about you. Webb was quiet for a moment. Fair enough. For what it's worth, you're good at this. Better than most people I've worked with. If you ever change your mind about the straight and narrow, you know how to reach me. Not interested. Your loss. Take care, Noah. And tell Mia I'm sorry. The line went dead. Noah deleted the number and went back inside. Found Simone in the conference room with David, who looked like he'd been crying. What happens to him? Noah asked. Eric's deciding. Probably termination. Possible charges depending on what the lawyers say. David looked up. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am. Noah studied him. 23, scared, stupid. The kind of stupid that came from wanting something so badly you'd ignore every warning sign. You want to make it right? Noah asked. Yes. Anything. Testify. If Morrison fights this, if he tries to come back, you testify about everything. Webb, the money, how it worked. Full cooperation. I will. I promise. Noah nodded and left him there. Found Lily in her office staring out the window at the city. Thinking about Morrison? He asked. Thinking about how close we came. If you hadn't figured it out, if you hadn't gotten that recording, we'd be finished right now. But you're not. No, thanks to you. She turned to face him. I meant what I said about the job. You start Monday. But Noah, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. After everything that's happened, I'd understand if you wanted distance. Are you firing me before I even start? No, I'm giving you an out. This got messy. You got pulled into something dangerous. If you want to walk away, no hard feelings. Noah thought about it. About Mia, about the apartment, about the future stretching ahead with more certainty than he'd had in years. I'll stay, he said, but I want to work on security. Make sure something like this doesn't happen again. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. They shook hands, and Noah left the building for the last time that week. Drove to Mia's school for pickup, on time, for once. She ran to him with a drawing she'd made in art class, all bright colors and smiling suns. "Look what I made. That's beautiful, baby. Can we hang it in the new apartment?" "We can hang it wherever you want." They drove to the apartment, spent the evening moving their meager belongings from the truck into rooms that echoed with emptiness. Noah ordered pizza, and they ate sitting on the floor. No furniture yet, just boxes and space and possibility. "Dad?" "Yeah?" "Is this real? Are we really staying here?" Noah looked around at the bare walls, the carpet that needed cleaning, the kitchen that smelled like old paint. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. "Yeah, we're really staying. Forever? As long as we need to." Mia smiled and went back to her pizza. Noah watched her, this small person who'd been through so much, who'd learned to read his moods and manage his stress and carry burdens that should have been his alone. She deserved better than what he'd given her, deserved a father who didn't leave her alone in motel rooms, who didn't bring danger to their doorstep, who had his life together. But she had him. Flawed, struggling, doing his best, even when his best fell short. Maybe that would be enough. Later, after Mia was asleep in her new room, Noah sat on the floor of the living room and looked at his phone. Messages from Lily, from Simone, from Sarah Michaels, all saying variations of the same thing. "Well done. Congratulations. You did it. He'd beaten Morrison, saved Helix, kept his daughter, gotten a job and an apartment and a future. And he still felt like a fraud, like someone playing a role, waiting for everything to collapse again." His phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. "I'm proud of you." Noah stared at it. The number wasn't blocked. He could trace it if he wanted. But something told him not to. He typed back, "Who is this?" No response. He sat in the dark apartment, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of a new place settling. Sirens in the distance, water running through pipes, the hum of the refrigerator, normal sounds, the kind you didn't notice until you'd lived too long without them. Noah thought about the past week, about stopping for a stranger in the rain, about how one small decision, one moment of decency had led him here, to this apartment, this job, this fragile stability. He thought about Morrison, probably already planning his next move, about Webb, already working for someone else, about all the companies destroyed, all the lives disrupted, all the damage done in the name of profit. And he thought about David Park, 23 and stupid and sorry, about how easy it was to make the wrong choice when you were desperate or naive or just trying to survive. Noah had made plenty of wrong choices, left Mia alone, kept his head down when he should have spoken up, almost accepted Morrison's offer because the money was too good and the alternative was too hard. But somewhere along the way, he'd also made some right ones, stopped for Lily in the rain, took the risk with Helix, fought back when fighting seemed impossible. Maybe that's all anyone could do. Make choices and live with them. Try to tip the balance toward decent instead of expedient. Fight when you could, even when winning seemed impossible. His phone buzzed again. "Lily, forgot to ask. Do you know what you're doing Monday, first day and all?" Noah smiled. "No idea, but I'll figure it out. That seems to be your specialty. See you Monday." He set the phone down and stood up, walked to Mia's room, opened the door quietly. She was asleep, her drawing taped to the wall above her makeshift bed, bright colors visible even in the dark. Noah stood there for a long moment, watching her breathe, thinking about how close he'd come to losing this, how easily Morrison could have won, how quickly everything could have fallen apart. But it hadn't, and maybe that was the point. Not that he'd won perfectly or handled everything right, but that he'd fought when it mattered, that he'd chosen the hard thing over the easy thing, that he'd protected what was important even when it cost him. He closed the door softly and went to his own room, lay down on the bare mattress and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, he'd buy furniture, enroll Mia in the local school, start the job, build a life that looked less like survival and more like living. Tomorrow, he'd be better, do better, figure out how to be the father Mia deserved instead of just the one she was stuck with. But tonight, he just lay in the dark and let himself breathe. They'd made it. Against the odds, against Morrison's money and power, against every system designed to keep people like him down, they'd made it. And if that stranger's text had been real, if someone out there was proud of him, well, maybe he could start being proud of himself too. Not for being perfect, not for having everything figured out, just for trying, for fighting, for refusing to stay down when staying down would have been easier. Noah closed his eyes and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not the desperate kind that came from having no other options, but the quiet kind. The kind that said tomorrow might be better. That maybe, just maybe, things could actually work out. He fell asleep thinking about Mia's drawing, about bright colors and smiling suns, about a 7-year-old who still believed the world could be good despite everything she'd seen. Maybe she was right. Maybe the world could be good if you fought hard enough to make it that way. And Noah was tired of fighting, but he'd keep doing it anyway, because some things were worth fighting for. Some people were worth fighting for. And Mia, his daughter, his responsibility, his reason for everything, was worth all of it and more. So he'd wake up tomorrow and keep going, keep trying, keep fighting the small battles that added up to something larger. And maybe someday he'd look back and realize that the moment everything changed wasn't when he beat Morrison or saved Helix or got the apartment. It was when he stopped on a rainy highway to help a stranger. One small choice, one moment of decency in a world that didn't always reward it. That's all it took to change everything. And maybe that was the real lesson. Not that good things happened to good people, or that hard work always paid off, or that justice always won, but that small choices mattered, that kindness had consequences, that helping someone when you didn't have to could set off a chain reaction that changed your entire life. Noah had stopped in the rain not expecting anything in return, had fixed a car because it was the right thing to do, had walked away without even learning the woman's name. And somehow, impossibly, that single act had led him here, to stability, to hope, to a future that looked less like drowning and more like swimming. He didn't know if there was a lesson in that, some moral about karma or cosmic justice or the universe rewarding good deeds. He just knew that he'd made a choice, and it had mattered. And tomorrow, he'd make more choices. Some would be right, some would be wrong. Some would seem insignificant in the moment, but turn out to change everything. That's how life worked. Not in grand gestures or perfect plans, but in small moments that accumulated, in decisions made when you were tired and broke and barely holding on, in stopping for strangers in the rain. Noah fell asleep in his new apartment, in his new life, with his daughter safe in the next room. And for the first time in years, he didn't dream of falling. He dreamed of flying,